but you didn't come to play. 'Cause you got it, and you mean it, and you get there soon. And while you're grinding, making dreams come true, so I'm just gotta let your body loose. Time to party, but those dance moves to good use. Yeah. Let your hands go up, stomp your feet. Let me see you kicking it back on the dance floor, on the dance floor. Feel the beat, electrified. Move your hips side to side on the dance floor, on the dance floor. On the dance floor. On the dance floor.
to prove it, I'm ready to do it, I can't be afraid now. Put me on the stage now, I'm ready to rage now. I feel like an animal stuck in a cage and I'm ready to break out. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. This time, like the last time, you better get ready to race to the top. Ready to do this, show you what the truth is. I step on the field, it's time to get real, I'm feeling so ruthless. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Yeah. So what are you afraid of? Those feelings are made up. Get in the game, your moment of fame, show them what you made of. It's time that we stand up, it's time that we man up. For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up. My time, nothing can keep me from reaching the top. This time, like the last time, I'm moving so fast, I'm ready to ride. I'm ready to throw down, it's time for the showdown. I'm ready to rise, don't be surprised, I'll take on the world now. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. My town, my crown, we know what it takes to be reaching the top. We're reaching the top, we're reaching the top. We know what it takes to be reaching the top. Lower the lights down, hand over my crown, hand over my heart. I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop. Turning the track up, I'm never going back down. Hand over my heart, I do this for my town, I do this for my crowd. So turn me up real loud. My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
check if my name in your mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck, run up on you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw off in my brain and I'm back to the bone.
The race continues here at Kartrider Drift League as we open up day 5 of the very first regular season ever. My name is William Cho, joined by State, and we'll be bringing you the action today. And it's Saturday, which means we've got team matches and solo matches going on today.
Yeah, it's the best day of the week. Saturday at KDL, man. Got a little bit of everything, and we have 2 really fun team matches in store for you for teams that are really fighting for the middle ranks right now and trying to vie for one of those playoff spots.
Yeah, it's a good point that you bring up, right? I mean, in the beginning, yes, we've had some pros versus amateurs and things like that, but let's take a look at the standing together to see exactly what we're talking about. So right in the middle, you already kind of see all the teams we're going to see in the team matches today. Liiv SANDBOX all the way through down to 6th place, and always those 4 teams will be looking to see if they can get extra points or if they're going to be pushed down even further.
Yeah, and for Team Always and Seongnam ROX, it's a really important one too, as both these teams are either struggling in item mode or they're struggling in speed mode, and as a result, not too much to show for it, even though, you know, these teams had a lot of potential. Seongnam ROX, especially in both of the preseasons, was racing very well, but now with this slightly re-kitted roster in the regular season, struggling to crack that top 4 as we take a look at the polls for this one. Actually, 90% in favor of Team ROX. I think that's underselling Always just a little bit. They've been struggling in speed mode, but still.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. Of course, we also have the solo match predictions at the bottom, but okay, we're going to move things along because the racers do not want to wait any longer. We'll review the solo match stuff when we get there. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, but for now, team match on our hands, and first up on stage, it is going to be Team Always looking for that upset.
Yeah, Team Always so far has been struggling winless in sets for speed thus far, although Diamond has been looking absolutely solid for them, the lone bright spot on their speed squad so far in the regular season, whereas Seongnam ROX are still able to deliver in speed mode. For them, item has really been their Achilles heel, so kind of a yin and yang, a bit of a different stylistic matchup coming in for this first match.
Yeah, and it is a little surprising that they're struggling, you know, this much in item mode, right? Because this is one of those pro teams that does have an item ace. And the fact that they're not able to quite get a good pulse here on the current meta with Lens at the helm for their item mode, that's something to be a little concerned about. However, they were actually talking about this during the Korean pre-show today. You know, the agreement is that most people haven't quite agreed on what exactly the meta is yet in item mode here in the regular season.
Yeah, it's quite different. I mean, even going from the pick and bans starting out in item mode, it is very different in that you don't know whether you want to play on 2-star or 3-star tracks because now the item setups are different. And given the new heroic tier of cards, item mode is so much faster, it's a lot more tempo-based, it's a lot less item-based in terms of long move combo, but we'll talk more about item mode when we get there. Before then, for speed mode thus far, it has been a rough go of it for Team Always. They are absolutely the underdogs coming into this one. As you can see right now, 3 of their 4 players in speed are at the complete bottom of the rankings in the individual standings horse speed, and they say don't cry because it hurts our hearts.
Yeah,
I don't know who they're talking to with this one.
I mean, well, they're telling Seongnam ROX, right? Like we don't want to feel pity for you, so please don't cry once we beat you. But the thing is there is reason for this. Although they have such poor ranks in speed mode, they did beat another pro team in MIRAEN and SEJONG, right, in the very opening match. So I mean, ROX, they cannot underestimate their opponents today because Always has shown that if it comes to that ace match, Diamond, who is one of the players that has a decent ranking in speed mode, will show up.
Yeah, he was really good in the ace matches. In the qualifying matches coming into this regular season, he's kind of building a name for himself as one of those racers that might go undefeated in ace matches thus far, whereas ROX, you know, now here in the regular season, they no longer have Jong. Jong is not playing Kart Rider Drift. He's retiring. He's focused on his studies. It's a ROX esports. They don't have that ace in the hole that they used to, and while this is still a very strong roster overall, I mean, not having Jong from preseason 2 competing with them, it really complicates the winning formula.
Yeah, and here's the thing. If you're a player on that roster, I think you have to take a different spin on it. And you have to just say, okay, this is an opportunity for me to now take the spotlight, right? Because before, let's be honest, everyone was kind of behind Jong's shadows, so to speak, just because he was so dominant. So hopefully they take this more as a confidence opportunity as we take a look at the picks and bans for rounds today. Take a look at bans first. We do see Brazil Circuit and Construction Chaos being eliminated by Always, 2 very different tracks. Meanwhile, Handy Harbor and Boom Hill Tunnel, both village tracks being banned out by Seongnam ROX.
Yeah, it seems like ROX esports wants to play on relatively complicated maps, just banning both of the village ones straight away. And even their picks, World Tour, Terracotta Twister, Glacier Extreme Stadium, and the Shanghai Circuit. Very tough lines on that one. I'm actually surprised that Always went for Mind Winding Slopes 2 for round number 4 because that feels like one of the more technical tracks in terms of lines.
Yeah, and also just Always, both their bans and picks, like one is a field track, very open, and then another one's a very difficult one, right? So you look at the bans, it's Brazil Circuit, then Construction Chaos being banned. Their picks, right, they did have Miami Drive, which is a bit more open, and then you have, of course, Winding Slopes, which is pretty difficult. We'll see if we even get to round 4, though, of course, because Always has yet to win a single track in speed mode. Can they kick things off today on World Tour Terracotta Twister? And the race begins. Always yet to have a victory on a single track of speed mode. But we have to mention, it's not because of Diamond. He's always at the front of the pack.
No, Diamond has been doing really well, but if you look at the individual standings right now for the rankings, Move, Ming, and Knight are the bottom 3 overall out of 30-plus players. So hopefully coming into this weekend, they've gone back to the drawing board. They've re-looked at their lines. They probably, had some time with their coaching staff trying to figure out a solution to this problem. But even here in Terracotta Twister, this has kind of been the story for Always. Diamond is leading the pack right now in first place. Knight, Ming, and Move all in last.
Okay, Diamond, a bit of a recovery. He does bump, which does mean he's going to lose his top speed a little bit, and that means he's not entirely ahead of the pack anymore, right? Sure, he was still able to recover by making sure he stopped Acid Fly, but at the end of the day, he's not able to keep the entire distance gap, and now it's a 1v3 for Diamond, and where are his teammates? Nowhere to be seen here on the screen.
Yeah, it's near impossible to win a 1v3 like this one, especially with the drafts coming through. As Diamond, he's doing his best to keep ALS in this thing, but he's just getting bullied right now, both by Na'Vi and by Acid Fly as they sweep into him a little bit. But okay, Move is making moves. Yeah. He's coming up, trying to lend some assistance. I love that tight inner line, and now he's in the top 3. So if Move and Diamond can start to make a play for Looting and Na'Vi, perhaps in the tomb section of this map, maybe ALS has a chance.
Yeah, it's got to be a double play, though, right? Because otherwise their teammates locked in at 7th and 8th right now. So Move, it's up to him to, first of all, trying to break the ranks. He's trying to put the pressure on Na'Vi, but he loses too much speed, trying to make sure he can find a better angle. Meanwhile, you also see Diamond getting bumped over the curve as he tries to take too tight of a line. And I have to say, as we most likely will see a 1-2-3-4 finish here for Seongnam ROX, this has been the story for Always. They're always playing very loose and aggressive, trying to make a Hail Mary play, and if that fails, you have nothing else left over. Once again, it happens on Terracotta Twister. Seongnam ROX with a clean 1-2-3-4 finish for the very first round.
Yeah, Looting, of course, coming in first place, has been a true speed ace for Team ROX Esports, but I love what you said there with Always, because I feel like that Hail Mary play, it's not really the game plan coming into it, but they are forced into it every single time because, you race through lap number 1, lap number 2, and you get closer and closer to that finish line. Usually you have a number of racers as ALS at the bottom of the track, right? So that means that suddenly Diamond has to try to start sweeping and making really crazy plays in the front. and slowing the other team down to hopefully provide some breathing room for his teammates. And I think for ALS, they just really have to work on their starting lines because they're losing tempo right from the beginning of each track.
Yeah, and even from the get-go, it seems like they maybe are trying to focus on this shift that you don't lose boost gauge when you collide against the wall anymore, but because of that, they try to play too aggressively even when they don't need to, and then they lose their top speed still. You know, you're still able to continue your boost gauge if you're in the middle of a drift, but you're still going to lose your overall top speed if you bump too hard, and that means that you're just so far behind, and at that point, unless you're playing perfectly, it's going to be very hard to catch up. So curious to see if things change a little bit on their tracks of choice. Of course, they are still a pretty formidable team in item mode, so there's more left in this matchup. But for now, we go to the track choice of always. It's going to be round two on World Tour Miami Thrive.
And we're off here on the streets of Miami. Let's see if Team Always can come off to a better start. But ROX Esports so far, not just in this match, but overall has been really dominating in speed mode. And you know, here on Miami Drive, it is one of the more unique speed tracks that we have. There are tons of boosts like this that lead into these large sweeping turns that ALS can play with. And you know, credit to them. Diamond and Move right now in a pretty good position. Ming also in the middle of the pack. I like the start.
Yeah, Mingyu being here alongside Move and Diamond is going to help a lot. That just simply gives them a numbers advantage as well to try to vie for the first part of this track. Of course, a 2-lapper. We're taking a look at the minimap. It is showing us that everyone's still close by, which means at any point, it's not like Boom or Move are reserved all the way in 7th and 8th place. They could try to overtake as we enter lap 2.
Yeah, it's a lot closer than it was to start things off on Terracotta Twister right now, and I'm loving this position here for Ming. He's going to try and sweep Na'Vi into the corner, not able to make it happen, so instead he'll settle for the draft, but Looting really starting to pull away from the pack, so for ALS, that means the win condition, unless you can catch up to Looting, is getting a little bit more complicated. They got to be looking for the 2-3-4, but right now with Move and Knight all the way in last place, I don't know what you have to do for them. Are Ming and Diamond going to start sweeping?
I mean, maybe. You maybe have to just go for these collisions, right? Go for a huge crash of some sort, and Na'Vi decides, okay, we're not going to take that risk if we can get a clean 1-2. Oh, he's trying to just block off the tight line. I think Na'Vi was just trying to sacrifice himself knowing that his teams were there. Maybe it doesn't pay off quite as much as he would have wanted to, but for the time being, it does buy Looting a lot more time, and Acid Fly was still part of the main pack, so they still have a 1-2 here for Seongnam ROX.
Yeah, but ALS now has some winning chances with Na'Vi all the way down into 8th place. You see on the bottom left of the screen, ROX Esports still a couple of points ahead, looking for that 1-3-5 or 1-3-4 finish. Looting seems like a lock for first place as Move and Ming are trying to make a play here.
Oh, and Ming, can he overtake? No, Boom's just going to break away in time. Meanwhile, Acid Fly still holding on to number 2 just a little bit. Move overtakes, but it's still too far behind for 2 players of ALS. And that is a clear 1-3-4-6 this time around for Seongnam ROX. I will say, overall, always, they seem to race better on their own terms. However, Na'Vi with that sacrificial play to make sure that Looting absolutely locked in for first, and then you have the rest of the pack still able to draft off of each other and try to contest for whether it's 2nd or 3rd place. Make sure you have that point advantage. Very good play from Seongnam ROX.
Yeah, that was a really smart move. Showed some experience here in speed mode for Na'Vi to make a play like that one, and ALS still winless so far in tracks, but I did like their play there on Miami Drive. It looked a lot better than on the more technical tracks we see sometimes here in speed, such as Terracotta Twister, but now we're going to be moving into Glacier Extreme Stadium, which, you know, the hairpin turns, all the tight lines you got to take on this track, it can be really dangerous. It's very cutthroat, and that's something where a veteran team like ROX Esports, they excel in, but ALS, they haven't really been able to put up a fight on these more difficult tracks. We'll see if they can start to swing things back into their favor here and look for that first track win. Let's move to the next map, Glacier Extreme Stadium.
And they're off, 8 racers on the icy tracks here of Glacier Extreme Stadium, and always, they're still looking for that very first victory on a single track of speed mode, currently now 0-8 in terms of rounds.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, they have been looking good so far in item mode, and you know, Diamond is quite good at playing ace matches should they get there, but this isn't going to be a winning formula for them unless they're able to start changing their odds here in speed. And the last 2 tracks, I'm liking it so far. Ming and Move right now in a pretty good position. Diamond right there in 6th rank. He absolutely has the potential to start moving up, especially as we enter the hairpins. And Ming actually going to make a play here to try to catch up with Boom.
Yeah, he's just keeping in range at the very least, and it should give an opportunity. Okay, that's going to spin him out a little bit too wide, and Boom, good defense there to keep it, taking another sharp turn at the very last hairpin as well, securing first place here at the end of the first lap. This is a 2-lapper, so we go into our last lap here of this third track.
Yeah, an acid fly on that straightaway, really able to gain a lot of ground. Keep in mind that 1-2 is a win condition here, so ROX Esports going to look to try to defend that as best they can. And as we see on the mini-map, Move is so far behind the pack that if ALS wants to come through with a win here, they're going to have to unseat this 1-2.
Yeah, I mean, they have to kind of get the 1-2 themselves, right? I'm just going to say it. Move is out of the picture. He's out of the race for the time being in all intents and purposes. Diamond, not the racer we were worried about. He's still back at the front of the pack, but here's the thing. Mingyu, he was pushed away so early on by Acid Fly. Acid Fly's been having some great sweeping this regular season, and now Diamond is the one who has to break through that, and he has to just knock everyone off of the jump here at the end of the hairpins if they want a chance here for Team Always.
Yeah, they need a 1-2 or a 2-3-4 finish coming into this one with Move all the way in the last of the pack. And Diamond, he's in a great position, but he's just surrounded by ROX Esports. Navi actually going to go off, so Move will not finish in last, but it's going to be a clean 1-2-3 as ROX sweeps the best of 5 in speed mode, and we'll head into item mode with a 1-0 lead in this series. And I gotta say, for Team Always, they looked a little bit better there, at least on the start of the tracks, but there clearly is some work that needs to be done by this team if they're gonna start succeeding against the veterans in speed mode.
Yeah, and I think Extreme Stadium is one of those tracks that really showcases the weaknesses that Always currently has. I mean, you saw it on the hairpins, you saw it on some of the early turns from Move as well, where you're so concerned about fighting your opponent that you kind of lose track of, okay, is this optimal speed? Is this optimal, drift gauge? How do I maintain my drift and come out at the right angle? It's not just about entering the line at the right speed and angle, but you have to exit with a plan in mind as well, and it does seem that's where they're lacking for the time being. Sure, the regular season is a long whiles away, so they can still grow, and most importantly, we still have item mode left.
Yeah, and item mode so far this season has really been where Team Always is able to shine, and once they win that item mode, if they can, then suddenly you're forcing an ace match where Diamond can really hang with the best of them. So a win here in the series is absolutely still in the cards, but it is painful if you look at the long-term stretch of the season. It really is a marathon, and if you lose speed mode after speed mode after speed mode, once those round and set differentials come in as a tiebreaker to decide who is going to go to the playoffs and who is not, it can come back to haunt them. So Always going to have to start looking for some real match wins, and it's going to have to start here in item mode.
Yeah, we'll see if they can bring things back. They're going to kick things off on a relatively long track for item mode. It's actually World Tour San Francisco Seaplane Base kicking us off in round 1. Then another World Tour on Venice Gondola Tour, and we go back to some familiar territory, Magma Cavern, Clock Tower Crossing. And if it does go to a round 5, go to another new theme here in the regular season, Graveyard Cemetery Circuit.
That's a little bit of a mix of 2-star and 3-star tracks here. It should be a lot of fun coming into this one as, Always we were kind of harping on them not being that great in speed mode so far, but ROX Esports really has kind of been having the opposite problem.
Yes.
Where in item mode, they have also been struggling. I do believe they've been able to win some tracks in item, but so far in terms of sets of item mode, of the best of 5, they haven't been able to deliver any wins. So this is really Always' chance to start to fight back and potentially force an ace match where Diamond can come out and show them that they mean business. Let's get ready to go into the first track. We'll Always be able to win here in item mode on World Tour Seaplane Base. Team Always now on the move, gonna try and flex those item mode muscles to force an ace match here ideally, and they really seem to be the team that has been adjusting quite well to the new meta here. Of course, now with heroic tiers in carts, item mode, it's played a lot more aggressively in terms of speed, it's a lot more tempo based, and with the new items being added to the level 3 tracks as well, the 3-star difficulty tracks, it's really been messing things up for teams like Seongnam ROX, and I'm wondering if ROX since their last match has been able to go back to the drawing board and come through with a new game plan here, because so far Navi and Lens, they're off to a really good start.
Yeah, a lot of pressure on Lens as well. Their very first opening match, Lens actually ended up showing some tears because he regretted having to send Looning out to the ace match. Thankfully that time, Looning brought home victory, but then they were in the same position again against MIRAEN and SEJONG just this past weekend, and at that point, they were actually close to winning it out in item mode. They were up 2-0, and they allowed the reverse sweep in item mode. Eventually, Looning not able to defeat Hojun down in the ace match either. So a bit of a nightmare here for Lens, the item ace, but currently still able to take control of the midfield with that Siren as we enter lap 2.
Entering lap number 2, Boong in first place, where he was for a fair bit of time. So some nice tempo here for Team ROX. Move, not too much of a lead right now, as he does have that big banana, waiting to see when he does drop that one out. And actually, he does right there on the corner, try to catch these racers in the blind spot.
I like it. I like the positioning. It was a good angle, but everyone's somewhat aware of that possibility from Seongnam ROX, so they will avoid it. Now, Move, unfortunately, he's just getting banana after banana, so he's going to have to fall back a little bit and have to reset his items to try to recover that forward position.
And now he does have a little bit of aggression here as the rocket comes in. It does get deflected by Boong, as another one will finally spin him out, as ALS, they do have a couple of attacks here in the card. So Boong is going to be falling back down into 3rd or 4th place, actually falling all the way down to the 8th, as it's a tighter pack than I realized here. Right behind this one. Oh, Move.
Yeah, I mean, those shortcuts on this track, you actually have to make sure you have some top speed to make it if you don't have a boost. In fact, sometimes you have to make sure you're choosing the correct cart body as well, which it does appear that most people have in this one, but you gotta make sure that you're prepped for it. Right now, we enter lap 3. UFO's already going off. Now, most importantly, Move holding on to that lightning bolt, and if it happens on one of those shortcuts, it could really mess up his opponents.
Yeah, we'll see when that Thunderbolt decides to come through here for Team ALS, as it seems they're holding on to quite a few good cars. Knight is going to pop the Siren right now and see if he can find any collisions, but no, instead just going to swap that out. Water Balloon, we'll see if he can line this one up on Navi. No, he doesn't even need to. Diamond comes in with a rocket, so ALS right now in a pretty good position. Keep in mind, they still have that Thunderbolt.
Yeah, that could be used for defense. Of course, Guardian Angel's now available on both sides, so Team Always, you cannot rely just on the Thunderbolt, which is why they're making sure Diamond is able to keep shooting forward. He has a boost and a shield as well. I mean, all things considered, he should be able to get out scot-free. An amazing Siren from Move for defense.
Thunderbolt comes in. It does get deflected right there as a Magnet is pop, but Lens is not going to be able to have the speed to actually catch up to Diamond, I don't think, as the shield pops once again, 200 meters out on the straightaway.
Oh, nice.
And ALS, they even have the insurance coming through on the outside, as they're going to pick up another track win here. And, you know, that was closer than it should be comfortable for Team ALS. You know, that was a win. But given the kind of mismatch of these teams in speed mode and in item mode, I think they're looking for something a little bit more dominant. So moving on to track number 2. I'm a little concerned for them. ROX Esports, they seem to be handling item mode a fair bit better than previously.
Sure, yeah, no, I see where you're coming from, right? You look at the record so far, and for Team Always to have a shot at winning the whole thing, they should be dominating this item mode, absolutely, because it is the apparent weakness of Seongnam ROX here in the regular season. But a win is a win, and I think they'll be happy with that one. 1 on the board, they'll need 2 more before they get to go to an ace match against Seongnam ROX. Meanwhile, Lens, some hand signals here from Lens. It does seem like he was just saying, okay, we can move on. Maybe he just wanted to double check something. We'll have to wait and see, but you can see the pressure starting to get to him. I mean, he's been taking on the role of item ace very, very seriously. Maybe to some extent too much, because he's bearing so much burden, it seems. And his teammates, if you listen to their comments videos, they're trying to lighten him up. And Lens is just like, no, like, this is so serious. I have to make sure we win as the item ace. See if he can bring that victory back here on round 2. Of course, it is the selection from Seongnam ROX on Venice Gondola Tour. And the race begins here in Venice. Team Always, 1 on the board. They're going to need 2 more to extend this to an ace match.
Only a 2-lapper here on Venice Gondola Tour, so a bit of a shorter track compared to Seaplane Base, and we'll see how that plays into both these teams' game plans coming through with the tempo, as Lens and Navi off to a really great start as we enter the gondolas. I always laugh seeing this. Can't even get hit by water balloons when you're riding the gondola.
Yeah, and then they're still like rowing away while they're in the blue. It's pretty funny to watch. But a good setup so far from Looning, right? Double Siren right off the bat allows his teammates and Lens and Navi to have a pretty hefty lead. And just look at the minimap. They're actually so far ahead. One of them even taking that shortcut there with the extra boost. Now Lens does fall behind as he hits that flower pot, but Navi double shield so far ahead. The Magnum finally something to slow him down just a tad bit.
Yeah, Lens for a fair bit of time also had a double shield when he was behind Navi in second place, so he absorbed a lot of the aggro. That's going to allow ROX Esports to kind of play this to the best of their ability here in terms of tempo. You can see Navi on that minimap, he's getting further and further away from second place, and if ROX Esports can now just kind of go on the attack here against the rear ranks of Team ALS, Navi might be able to actually run away with this thing. He still has a shield. He has a double shield.
Yeah, that's the idea, too. You saw Looning trying to block them off on that small, narrow shortcut. Knight going to be able to enter the gondola before the attacks come through, so he's going to be moving on. Navi still an extra shield in the bank. We'll see if he gets up any more defenses. Knight just trying to catch up. He's close, but the water balloon does not hit in front. It's only going to catch Knight, so he's far behind. The attacks start flying in once again.
Man, at least ALS is starting to close the distance. Oh no, I say that, and then another attack comes through, and now it's 1, 2, 3, 4 here for ROX Esports. And it's not just Navi you have to worry about anymore, it's also Looting, and boom, Looting has a Nitrous. Navi with double shield so far away in first place. I think ALS is not going to be coming away with this track unless they come up with some crazy play.
Yeah, and Seongnam ROX, they took the idea that tempo is the meta here in the regular season to heart. Absolutely. They saw how far Navi was ahead in the first lap, and they did everything. Body blocking, items, everything was thrown to just say, hey, Navi, just keep the lead, right? Just get some shields. If you get UFO'd, we're still going to have enough distance between you and the opponents where you're not going to get crept up on. And that was the name of the game for lap 2.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if that play call came through from Lens as soon as he realized the situation with Navi in first place, himself, Lens in second, both with double shield right from the beginning, because Lens knows he can absorb a ton of the aggro from the team as long as they focus then on aggressing the rear players for Team ALS. They can play that tempo lead, and there was one moment where they got close to Navi, but that was it for pretty much the entire track. So now we're going to come into track number 3 here in a moment, all tied up 1-1 in item mode.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty chaotic one as well. Of course, Magma Cavern is awaiting us in round 3. Very narrow track, but still a 3-star. So not only do you have the old water bombs to worry about, but now you got those sirens and big bananas that can mess you up on such a narrow track. We'll wait to see who takes the lead, tied 1-1 as we go into Magma Cavern.
We go on one of the classics, Magma Cavern, and I love how you talk about the narrow track on this one because there are some positions here, especially heading into the finish line on lap number 3, where it's almost impossible to avoid water balloons, especially since the recent patch when they made it easier for you to kind of be able to sight down where the water balloon is going to land on your minimap as the first-person player. It's going to make setting those attacks up a lot easier, so I'm wondering whether either of these teams is going to come through with those, but once again, ROX Esports with the tempo play. It's Navi in first place with double shield.
Yeah, you've got double shield, a Guardian Angel on your teammates, EMP over on Looning as well. All defenses stored up. Knight falls into the magma, falling further behind. And this is a 3-lapper, but the laps are pretty short, so Team Always, they do not have as much time as they would like right now to try to catch up.
Yeah, it's going to be a tough battle for them as Knight's going to be able to come out with one more rocket, but he gets hit himself by an attack. Navi still holding onto his shield, does pop it to deflect one more weapon coming through as ROX Esports Lens is going to try and provide some covering fire here for Navi. And look at the minimap again. You need binoculars to see this guy. You need a microscope to spot him on the minimap. I mean, ALS, they're trying their best to close the distance, but ROX Esports with this tempo play and the aggression just coming through non-stop is doing so much work.
And the fact that they are now using Guardian Angels to make sure that Looning is able to keep second place and body block, look at the way he's positioning. He just wants to eat up the targeting. Now this time he wasn't able to block the magnet, so finally Node gets close by and some attacks coming through, but the shields are still there on Navi. He hasn't used them yet. Now finally using both to keep the lead. Banana now in store for Navi, and Seongnam ROX once again 3 members in front to try to draw the aggro.
Oh, Looning has double banana right now. He pops one. We'll see if he's trying to set up another one as I feel like Navi, once again, I'm getting deja vu, man. The Siren's coming through. There isn't Nitrous here for Node. Oh, and he gets denied the items as well by Looting. The Magnet comes through, but it's not enough. And this tempo play from Seongnam ROX seems to be the missing link that they've been lacking so far here in the regular season in item mode. Now up 2-1 in this best of 5.
I mean, this is as dominant as an item mode track can be. I mean, Na'Vi just wasn't even targeted for the entire second lap, if I'm not mistaken. He was so far ahead that the targeting couldn't catch him. There were a couple opportunities where you could tell, you know, whether it was players like Node or Move that were trying to wait to find an opportunity right around the curves, and then they would just get blocked off by another opponent, so eventually magnets, rockets were used just to try to catch up. And yeah, they had one opportunity near the end where they were able to start to target down Na'Vi, but he was so far ahead. Shield still in store. And at the very end, one UFO EMP'd, the second UFO and Magnet a little too late, as Na'Vi was able to crawl across the finish line, bringing home point number 2 in item mode for Seongnam ROX.
So now if you're Team Always, it is match point. You have to win here if you want to force an ace match. You got to win 2 in a row to get to that final 1v1. This is a must-win situation for them on Village Clock Tower Crossing. What is going to be their game plan to actually stop this tempo play coming through from ROX? Let's find it out as we go to track number 4.
Team Always now looking down the barrel of match point for Seongnam ROX. If they can't win here, that's going to be a clean 2-0 sweep from Seongnam ROX. If Team Always wins, we have one more track of item mode before we see if we go to an ace match.
Oh, Na'Vi actually able to hit a banana right there on Diamond, just perfectly lined it up. Rarely you see these bananas actually connect at a high level like this one, so some great sight from him. And once again, he's kind of running away with the tempo thing. It seems like this is really the game plan for ROX. And I was so curious from this that I went back and I looked at the preview sheets that we got from our staff before the show. And I looked at the build for Na'Vi. It's not even anything that's specifically fast. It's nothing unique. It's nothing different. It's a 7-5-9-1, which 3 other players are running here on this track. Na'Vi, it's just team support that's allowing him to gain so much tempo. And now look at this. Remember last time before, it was double shield on Na'Vi and double shield on Lens that was able to absorb the aggro. This time, Looning already on lap 2 has double Angel Shield.
Yeah, and the rest, I mean, Boom currently, he's actually just making sure he's positioned to use these water bombs, and he blocks off 2 members. Look at that, he purposely slowed down to get that distance, and now the Wisps come out as well. Seongnam ROX, they have become very, very strategic. Now, I'm glad you brought up the cart body parts, because perhaps Na'Vi wasn't always meant to be the one who's finishing first, but it's whoever is able to get first, you know, halfway through that first track. You just keep running with defense, everyone else. Now we position ourselves, kind of spread ourselves across the standings, make sure someone's on duty for attack, someone's on duty to eat up the aggro. Looning now on duty with those water bombs, and again, he hits 3 and a teammate, but it doesn't matter because it's part of the plan here for Seongnam ROX.
I mean, it doesn't matter in item mode. It's all about who finishes first. And right now, that's going to be Na'Vi. ROX still holding on to another Angel Shield, and the water bombs have been so insane so far in this track. I think we've had 4 different ones connect consecutively with players on ALS. I've never seen the water bomb used as effectively. I mean, look, he's already crossed the finish line.
And he's been UFO'd, I think 3 UFOs in a row. We saw in the picture-in-picture, he was just constantly waving in the air as he's trying to get pulled up by this alien, and he's still so far ahead that nobody could catch up to this guy. Seongnam ROX absolutely turning a new page here for item mode as they win a clean 2-0 sweep in this team match against Team Always.
I'm almost at a loss for words about how Na'Vi was able to play this tempo style. Yeah. 3 maps in a row. And of course, it's not just Na'Vi, it's everybody on Team ROX. There was sweeping coming through like it was speed mode. There were water balloons connecting time after time again. And ROX Esports, if this is a winning formula for them moving forward, they're going to be a tough team to beat.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like you mentioned, you even have members like Looning just going for the body blocks to buy time to make sure that you can cycle yourselves into different positions for better item chances. The water balloon, the water bomb kind of perfection and accuracy. All across the board, everyone was on point. As you mentioned, in Clock Tower Crossing, we saw like 3 in a row that were multi-kills. And so Seongnam ROX coming in very, very strong here in this team match, looking revitalized as they try to climb up towards the top half of the leaderboard.
Yeah, this was a really important win for them too, as I believe these teams coming into this one were, if I'm not mistaken, in standings either 5 and 6 or 4 and 5.
5 and 6, yeah.
5 and 6. I mean, with the cutoff with the wild card, you want to get up there as high as you can. You want some buffer as you're getting closer and closer to that postseason. So for ROX Esports to now come in here and have a performance against one of the better item teams so far in the league means that suddenly they're a different beast coming into this one. I mean, Looning time and time again has been able to perform not just in speed mode, but in item mode, as you said, with the sweeping and also in ace matches. And so if they can become a much more well-rounded team, you know, we might see some more ROX esports success similar to what we saw in the preseason.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this was a brand that was starting to climb the ranks and say, no, we should be in the conversation, you know, alongside teams like Kwangdong Freaks and Liiv SANDBOX. Now, it didn't pan out in preseason 2, and then a lot of their opponents, you know, we saw it in the interviews before the league started, they're like, well, we don't really count Seongnam ROX as a pro team, right? We kind of put them down in the bottom half of the rankings. Seongnam ROX is here to say, no, we really need to be part of that conversation once again.
And it does feel that way. You know, when they lost Chong coming in after he retired, I was looking at this ROX roster like, well, suddenly it's a little bit weak. Yes, you do have Looning now, and he's a great player. I know that Wolf has been high on Looning for a long time, and he was certainly right about that. But will the rest of the roster be able to step up? And then they came in, they were struggling in item mode for the first couple of weeks, right? And now then going against Always, who so far has really only been able to win in item mode and defeat them in kind of a clinical way, it's very impressive.
Yeah, and also I think for Team Always, this is where you realize, okay, this whole just like playing our own way, playing loose and fast, it's not going to work anymore, right? You've kind of hit this wall and say, okay, we really got to brush up on some basics, which is fine. I mean, we take a look at some of these amateur teams, especially a team like Always, where a lot of the players are actually quite new to this main stage. You're going to need some time to brush up. Hopefully we see them recover. But ladies and gentlemen, we're not done just yet for tonight. We still have another team match and solos coming up. Next up after this break, we have MIRAEN SEJONG going up against Liiv SANDBOX. Pro team versus pro team. You don't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
teammate with that.
Yeah, I guess so.
Whoa, we're seeing Snoopy just picking up all the big bananas.
Wait for the banana. Oh, he missed it. Snoopy very close to him. It's all about these final 300 meters here. No attacking items available.
Oh my
except that
God.
balloon. Snoopy, is he gonna get caught by this UFO? Skull pushing ahead, and that looks like it is going to be us going again to a 5th track. Will lose some momentum here. His recovery is so beautiful. And see how he takes that perpendicular line there actually to collide with his opponent, just trying to maintain that speed while doing so. Just again here, ByungSu's driving is phenomenal.
ByungSu is so focused right now on his lines, and they came out perfect. And it gave so much time for Hyunsu to now catch up. If this 1-2 is maintained by Finale, that's a win condition. So you can see Hyunsu trying to deny that beautifully.
Yeah, now ByungSu and Hyunsu on those hairpins, they actually take the 1-2 here. Guys, and what a play! Liiv SANDBOX are gonna take it 1-2. What a play! Looks like he's toying with them back here as well. Just constantly sweeping now, creating some disruption. And went straight from 6 up guard, because now you're just fighting to block the 1, 2, 3, 4. Showing that even though these are the old guys, right, these are the veterans, they know this new track so well. They already have these lines figured out. And you can see a full second nearly there, the advantage for Nok. It's Luna's 3rd here for MIRAEN and SEJONG, who will win speed. Angel shield coming through. There's the shield I was talking about, and that is going to guarantee him the finish. Not enough, though. Diamond off screen.
He's able to go against all odds and bring that first.
No junior hero, but actually, it looks like it's going to be guard here.
Constantly needs to greed because so far he hasn't been able to recover from the great block that guard has shown.
Needs to be good. So far, he's been able to maintain that advantage.
Oh my God, Diamond
no way!
completely wins the trade.
Guard, 400 meters to go. No boost advantage here. There is just no way he's going to catch Diamond. One mistake. He looks at his teammates with a sheepish grin, but look at these players jumping out of the chair and
But who's it going to be? It's actually going to be Seongnam coming in.
When it was needed, was on point, was able to deliver a 2-3-4 victory for his team because of it. And you can see the pressure he's mounting right now. Seongnam, he's fighting back quite well, but Ghost actually really trying to battle.
Extent, he's abusing the fact that he doesn't lose boost gauge if he bumps into the wall, so if he can make sure it's at the end of his
body. And in these narrow passageways, it's pretty hard for Seongnam here to try and find an angle on this turn. It might be one of his best bets. And yeah,
he's trying to, but here's the thing, Ghost made sure to not use the boost during the straightaways because he knew he couldn't pass, and now he's able to still keep the lead with those 360 turns, one more boost, but Seongnam, an incredible block on that line in the last corner. He read Ghost like a book. Far ahead.
Yeah, those are some big collisions hitting Diamond, who is arguably the best speed on this team always, so
maybe there's a moral victory here to be ahead of your brother and maybe even try to break apart the 1-2, but it's not looking like there's a victory condition here. For always, okay, he tried. I'll give him credit, but it's not going to be enough. I'll give him credit, but it's not going to be enough.
No, coming down this final straightaway move goes for a big body block there on Wave, but I think that's just sibling rivalry as the 1-2 was.
Eyes on Seongnam as the race begins here in track number 3 of this round.
He's now in 3rd place.
And listen, if I'm Hero right now, sure, if you get 1st place, that's great. But if you're not able to get 1st place, you might as well block Seongnam out. Because if he finishes the race right now, Hero, from the solo matches entirely of the very first regular season of KDL.
Hero only has 1 point on the board right now, so it's absolutely critical he gets 1st or he stops Seongnam from getting 1st place.
Test gets Hero, and now the pressure. Will it get to Hero? Seongnam finds the inner line. And if we go this round, Hero, he may be in trouble. They continue to juggle back and forth around the hairpins, but Hero loses too much speed on that drift. And Seongnam, Spec, can he stop the race? Or will Seongnam finish our match to the run? Oh, Spec! Oh,
Spec, the rookie coming through! Another player was passing another player, and it seemed like Seongnam was finally going to get the opportunity to win, but Spec said
better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is to throw. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off of my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
Welcome back to the Cartwriter Drift League. We just wrapped up our first match of the night. It was a team match where Seongnam ROX will take the victory against Team Always. And now, another team match awaits us on stage. And first up, it will be MIRAEN and SEJONG.
Yeah, this is the headliner match of the day. MIRAEN and SEJONG versus Liiv SANDBOX. Two veteran teams going up against each other. MIRAEN and SEJONG, kind of the re-kitted, retooled roster built around Cartwriter legend Hojun, and they're looking really good. Only running a four-man squad. Hero, the speed ace, Hojun, one of the best runners in the business, as well as Guard, who's done some excellent sweeping, and Nok, who is one of the best hybrid players you could possibly ask for. This guy could be an item ace on a variety of different teams, but he's also very good at speed, so MIRAEN and SEJONG confidence to run a four-man roster, and they're going up against another re-kitted Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, I mean, Liiv SANDBOX, of course, just in terms of brand power, a legendary name here in the Cartwriter universe. But coming into the KDL, while sure, they had a good start, they haven't yet been able to really prove themselves as the top dog in the preseasons. They've been dethroned by the Kwangdong Freaks in both preseasons, and now they're here to say, okay, this is where it matters. It's going to be the regular season is where we shine. They've now had a preseason with ByungSu to kind of get adjusted into this team setting of Liiv SANDBOX. He seems to be doing a lot better coming into the regular season. We'll see if he can keep it up with the rest of the team.
Yeah, if you guys followed the preseasons, you might know ByungSu as Speed, which was his former roster when he was paired up with Hojun, but now, of course, going to his Korean name, ByungSu. He's been looking really good. He is one of the best racers on this team, and him plus Hyunsu with Neil is kind of a 1-2-3 punch that very few rosters in the world can compare with. But MIRAEN and SEJONG looking to really prove themselves here as well. And looking at this right now, Hojun and Guard actually dominating in speed. 3rd and 5th individually so far in team speed mode.
Yeah, and in fact, this team actually, they consistently win with a 1-2-3 finish in speed mode, not just a 1-2 either. So they're just overall dominating in speed mode. And of course, we saw their little tagline there saying that Hojun is able to keep his composure and, you know, just trying to enjoy the weekend. But Hojun, I mean, his heart rate actually didn't go above 100 during that ace match against Looting, so just shows the veterancy that he has, how comfortable he is on stage.
I mean, this is like a second home for him, right?
Yeah.
Some of these rookie teams that we were watching on the opening week, or the first week and the second week of the regular season since we added those heart monitors, was so much fun because the rookies will go up above like 180, 190 beats per minute. And then you see a veteran like Hojun, a legend in his own right, who is not going to shy away from the biggest stages. And neither is this roster that you see right now. And Liiv SANDBOX, you know, since the preseason, losing some players to military service, now coming in with Dalda as the item ace. They're looking to be formidable opponents. They want to try and stop KDF from really running away with this one, but they lost to them in the opening weekend match, and they still have a lot to prove.
Yeah, and of course, Liiv SANDBOX, they were one of the teams that participated in kind of the event match down in Daejeon right before the regular season kicked off, where MIRAEN and SEJONG actually took the home victory. They took first place. So Liiv SANDBOX just saying, hey, listen, like, that was a different time. This is now the regular season. We're not going to repeat the same mistakes. We'll see how it comes down as we take a look at the speed track list. Speed priority taken by MIRAEN and SEJONG as they win the coin flip, and they will be kicking things off over on Village Handy Harbor.
And kind of an interesting pick there going for Village Handy Harbor. Their number 2, number 3 picks will be World Tour Miami and Drive and WKC Mexico Touring Rally. So honestly, I see that, and I think they're showing a lot of respect to the speed racing capabilities of Liiv SANDBOX. They don't want to be on too technical of a track if possible, and For Liiv SANDBOX coming through, WKC Shanghai Circuit and Village Bayside Bridge Run, which we have seen some interesting builds on in the preseason. I wonder if we'll see that here again today. And it should be a really close speed match, I think. On paper, both these teams, they have very star-studded rosters. Liiv SANDBOX maybe with a slight edge, but as you said, MIRAEN SEJONG, they beat them before. Can they do it again here in the regular season of the KDL as we get ready to ship it to the first track? It's going to be Village Handy Harbor.
All 8 racers begin as we take a look at the speed mode matchup between MIRAEN and SEJONG versus Liiv SANDBOX. Hojun shooting off into first place alongside Hero. Not already there with Guard just to start sweeping, and they have entire control of the top 4.
Yeah, this is kind of a nightmare scenario here for Liiv SANDBOX as HyeonSu finally able to break 3, but Guard is so good at body blocking and fighting and doing all those body checks to keep Liiv SANDBOX in business. And I mean, you can see it right now. He's just trying to zone out Jimin and make sure that it's a 1-2, or a 2 versus 1, I should say, between Hero, Hojun, and HyeonSu.
Yeah, and Hojun kind of just happy to take that second place to make sure he's the one who's blocking off HyeonSu. Hero now having the reins to keep first place. HyeonSu's finding these openings. However, we have to remember, HyeonSu's now the dedicated sweeper here on Liiv SANDBOX. If he has to be playing the speed ace runner to try to just keep a position, the rest of the team has to start pulling their weight.
Yeah, Jimin's starting to, man. He's working his way up the ranks. He was able to get past the sweeping of Guard, and now he could join HyeonSu and also ByungSu. Speed working all the way up into the top 3, so it's going to be a 1v3 right now with these Liiv SANDBOX racers trying to unseat Hero from that first place position. You can see the pressure they're putting on him.
Yeah, and Hero, he had a nice little build there on the first shortcut to make sure they can't try to pass him on the inner line. Does so again as we go through the second one, but Guard, can he catch up? Because otherwise the 2-3-4, it's so close to Liiv SANDBOX. It's going to come down to the wire. 1-2-3 should be in order, but Guard, can he keep up in 4th? So does Knock in 5th, and it will be a 21-18 point difference in favor of MIRAEN SEJONG.
Wow, a really close race to start things off. I thought Liiv SANDBOX was in a pretty prime position to take track number 1 when they had the 2-3-4 lined up, but as you said, the sweeping was just superb. Hero did a great job there on MIRAEN SEJONG as well to just lock that one down, and they're going to take speed track number 1.
Yeah, I mean, Hero with some great decision-making in that last lap. The first shortcut, he does a bit of a stop there after he goes a bit further wide first and takes a sharp turn. Make sure they can't try to squeeze in between him or bump him into the wall as a result of making him lose speed. And then he does so again on the second shortcut, securing first place. It gives an opportunity, actually knocks HyeonSu all the way back down to 8th place. Meanwhile, his teammates can try to catch up in the midfield. Just a great setup, and it goes again to show why they selected that track.
Yeah, their game plan absolutely working to perfection now as the teams get ready to go into track number 2. MIRAEN SEJONG with a 1-0 lead here in this speed mode best of 5. We'll see if they can build on that one or if Liiv SANDBOX is going to strike back as we move to track number 2, WKC Shanghai Circuit. MSJ in the previous track had a really great start with Hojun pulling away in first place right from the get-go, but here on Shanghai Circuit, it's actually HyeonSu from Liiv SANDBOX who's doing the sweeping, doing the body checking, trying to keep MSJ in check.
Yeah, and HyeonSu, if he's able to just make sure that no one shoots too far ahead, you've already got Neil and Jimin right behind you. Neil, not a player we actually mentioned at all during the first track, kind of forgotten as we do see a bit of a collision against that shortcut. Nice pressure coming in from the players of Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, Hojun falling all the way down to 6th place, and so Liiv SANDBOX in a really tremendous spot right here. It's actually Hero losing some momentum. That was some nice sweeping to get some damage done on LSB, but with HyeonSu and ByungSu both in 1st and 2nd place, and the Nitro gauge looking really good for Team LSB as well. A lot of pressure right now on MIRAEN SEJONG, but Hojun and Guard, they are moving up in the midfield. You can see on the minimap how close this race has become. If they can unseat this one too, MSJ has winning chances.
Yeah, and Hero, he's doing it all on his own, purely through speed itself to try to catch up against both ByungSu and HyeonSu. Now with the pressure, it actually completely wins the mind games, forces both players of Liiv SANDBOX to take opposite ends of that shortcut, bump into the tires, and now Hojun holding on to first place, but it's neck and neck against ByungSu.
Yeah, ByungSu and Hojun threading the needle there, but Hojun coming in head with first place, and now Hero, he's looking for the draft, actually able to pass ByungSu right now, and now body blocking him on the turns. ByungSu's just getting zoned out. MSJ, they're looking ready for that 1-2 finish, but ByungSu, will he be able to find the outside angle?
He's looking for that opening. He's able to thread it. Opens it up for Jimin as well, but it comes down to the wire once again. Hoja's still holding on to first place. ByungSu just wants to break apart. He's going to hold on to second. No, Hero passes him at the very end for a 1-2 punch, and it's going to be MIRAEN SEJONG leading 2-0.
And LSB had the 3, 4, 5, 6, but as we all know, 1-2 is a win condition here in speed mode. So Hojin and Hero really showing some heroics in track number 2 right now. Off to the races we go, as I really want to see the timetable on how close it was between Hero and ByungSu. It felt unbelievably close, and yeah, just a fraction of a second separated this from a LSB victory and an MSJ one, and instead it's going to be MSJ who comes up ahead, now 2-0, leading this best of 5.
Yeah, once again, I want to give a round of applause to Hero. I mean, the mind games he played, the pressure he puts on coming into the second lap forces both ByungSu and I believe it might have been Hyunsu at the front. Maybe it was Jimin. They both bump into the tires. That opens it up for Hojun. And then Hero once again using his boost on an off-tempo timing around the curve, gets the draft on top of it to make sure he can catch back up to second place, and they're able to just apply that pressure. I believe this is exactly where it happened. Yeah, Hero bumps him actually just straight up into the tire, not even just mind games, straight up sweeping from behind. And then Hero once again keeps Jimin in check and then catches up with a nice timing on his boost.
Really a disastrous section of the map there for Team Liiv SANDBOX on the second lap, and now if they want to come back and win speed mode here against MSJ, they need to start a reverse sweep now. They need to win 3 tracks in a row. It's got to start here on World Tour Miami Drive.
And the race begins. MIRAEN SEJONG currently leading 2-0, looking at set point if they can get the victory here in Miami.
Yeah, they're off to a good start as well. Actually, it's Nock and Guard leading the charge here for MSJ. Previously, it was Hero and Hojin pretty much time after time in the first 2 tracks, but LSB, they are able to fight back. SANDBOX doing really well, and now it's up to them to kind of get some sweeping in. Really, the sweeping hasn't been able to come through very much on their side of things. It's mostly been Guard for MSJ, and also Hero coming through from that pole position with the sweep checks.
Yeah, but now you do have ByungSu and Jimin, like you mentioned, State, so that allows Hyunsu to kind of play a little bit more freely with the sweeping. Neil here to assist him as well. Neil, of course, a player who could always shoot back forward as well to provide backup in terms of placements if needed.
Yeah, one of the players with the best raw skill in the world as he comes in here with a lot of potential, but as you said, the role right now in this 2-lapper is mostly going to be to try to keep Nock and Hero in check, as that 1-2's a win condition. Neil went for a big fight there on Nock, wasn't able to get a significant hit, but did slow Hero down a tad.
Yeah, and that breaks apart the duo of Nock and Hero, right? So they can't start to draft off of each other and look for those timings. It now has to be a solo play. Nock, ooh, he barely catches on the boost, so he's going to be able to recover. That could have been risky. Nock still in contention for a podium finish, but where his teammates Guard still too far, and Hojin and Hero locked into 7th and 8th.
And Hyunsu right now with some sweeping, able to take a lot of the momentum away from Nock, and this one might secure actually the 1-2 finish. Look at his body check!
Hyunsu, even off the walls, he's just bought so much time. It doesn't matter that he's falling behind because they have the 1-2. If ByungSu and Jimin are this far ahead, draft's nowhere to be seen just yet, and they're still able to just keep optimal lines around the corner. This is going to be tough for MIRAEN SEJONG to catch up.
Yeah, MIRAEN SEJONG are trying to take the tightest possible lines and draft off each other if they can break up this 1-2. They have a chance at winning it. They're getting closer and closer. Nock in drafting range now behind ByungSu.
Straight boost! Oh, he's able to bump against ByungSu, but ByungSu defends against Jimin, and that secures the 1-2. ByungSu, good block and recovery, because if he breaks away from second place, it Liiv SANDBOX actually loses the race, but just an absolute top-class showing from both teams. The Liiv SANDBOX are able to recover speed mode, now trailing 1-2.
Yeah, and I love how Liiv SANDBOX was able to identify their win condition so early on that track. They knew they had 2 players running away with it in positions 1 and 2, and so it was all on Neil and Hyunsu just to try and cause chaos in the middle ranks. And you know how good the body checks were from LSB? MIRAEN SEJONG still almost came back.
Yes.
That was unbelievably close. If that last body fight goes MIRAEN SEJONG's way, then suddenly the 1-2 is broken up, and maybe we have a 2-3-4 finish or something like that in the cards for MIRAEN SEJONG. And so a win, it looked commanding for Liiv SANDBOX from the get-go, but MSJ still able to fight back quite hard, and it's still a match point. They still only need to win 1 more track to take the speed mode victory against Liiv SANDBOX.
Yeah, I mean, again, like you said, just great plays from both sides, but the race isn't over just yet. Liiv SANDBOX still wanting to go the entire distance in speed mode as we go to round 4 on Bayside Bridge Run.
We head to Liiv SANDBOX map of choice here as they remain on match point. They need to win 2 more tracks to stay alive here in speed mode against MIRAEN SEJONG. And so far, a really good start. Neil, this time, really waking up, leading the charge with Hyunsu and Jimin. And now the sweepings are going to have to come through as they try to hold on to this lead.
Yeah, but we saw what Hyunsu was able to do on that previous round. But look at Hero. He finds that opening as they come out of the tunnel. No one taking the inside line. And Hero just saying, right now we have to make sure that Liiv SANDBOX can't get too far ahead. So he's here to apply the pressure alongside Guard. And this should buy time, for their teammates to come up like Hojun.
Yeah, Guard right now even focused on slowing down Jimin a little bit, not really focused on getting 1-2 himself. Just trying to set up for Hojun, another player that could be a speed ace on many teams as Hero continues this 1 versus 2 battle. Now coming in, Neil will go on the curb for that build. It's a bit of a riskier one, but Neil able to make it pay off.
Yeah, I mean, no opponents in sight, so he's making sure that he's able to keep the lead just a bit alongside Hyunsu. Now, Hyunsu and Neil seemingly deciding that they're going to be the 1-2 punch, so it's up to ByungSu now for the blocks. Hero, he's constantly looking for a good opportunity. Look at that. He not only threads the needle himself, tried to block out Hyunsu. It doesn't pay off in the end, but a great attempt again from Hero. He's trying to buy so much time, but Hojun and Guard, they're still further behind.
I mean, Hero's just doing an incredible job. There's been a 1v2 or 1v3, and he's just able to find the inner line and evade the body fight, just threading the needle, as you said, and trying to buy time. And now Hojun is getting closer, so right now it's looking like a Liiv SANDBOX victory, but if MIRAEN SEJONG can come out with some heroics here as we enter the final stretch. Hero now in first place, 500 meters left to go. Liiv SANDBOX, they're falling behind. They're going for the build. Up here on the curb, Hero still in first place, but Liiv SANDBOX, they do not have enough points on the board. It's going to be a 1-4-5-6 for MSJ as they take speed mode 3-1 over Liiv SANDBOX.
Hero, absolutely the hero that MIRAEN SEJONG needed tonight as he's able to bring home yet another amazing victory here in Bayside Bridge Run. Just the way he was able to maneuver around those podium finishes for the entire race and eventually take the opportunity when he sees it. He's able to keep the lead. Meanwhile, I mean, Guard comes knocking at the door of Liiv SANDBOX and ByungSu eventually falls all the way behind. Jimin even, he was single-handedly tasked with keeping Knock in 8th place, not able to succeed on that front either.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX just frankly getting outplayed in speed mode as Hero looks to be, you know, the form that he's in today, he seems like a top-level racer. That was some world-class speed against one of the best speed mode teams that we have here at the KDL regular season. And
yeah, this is kind of a callback to his debut season where he became a Royal Roader back in 22, right? Back in the original Kart Rider League. He's starting to show why he was able to win that time and then also try to continue that hype. But now we get ready for item mode. Of course, no swaps on the side of MIRAEN SEJONG. Meanwhile, the man you see on screen, Delta, will be coming in as the item ace in place of Neil.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX with some depth in the roster will be swapping out their speed specialist, Neil, for that item ace. And it's an important switch, too, because if they want to force that ace match, if they want to try to stay alive here against MSJ in a critical, you know, potentially podium-deciding move, as they already lost to the Freaks earlier on in the season. If you lose to MIRAEN SEJONG and they continue to perform at this level out over the course of the regular season, you're going to have a tough road in the playoffs. As we now look at the item track list, of course, MIRAEN SEJONG, they did take speed priority, so Liiv SANDBOX can get the better end of the picks on this one.
Yeah, and it does look like Liiv SANDBOX taking us to some classic tracks of Motherlode and Magma Cavern in round 1 and 3, then to Dark Castle on that graveyard theme all the way at the end. Meanwhile, MIRAEN SEJONG is going to be Mushroom Caves and Clock Tower Crossing. So MIRAEN SEJONG going for relatively very straightforward tracks here, while maybe some chaos waiting for us on these mine tracks selected by Liiv SANDBOX.
Surprising, we only have 2 3-star tracks in this one, as we're going to be starting out item mode here on Mine Motherlode. One of those 3-star tracks, Liiv SANDBOX coming through with a pick. Will they be able to get the win and potentially force that ace match?
like to do this now and then on the KDL. Make sure you guys are all watching and paying attention. A bit of a fake out, but we will be waiting here for that track to begin on item mode. Just gonna make sure that the lobby is all properly set up and ready to go. Now and then just making sure to do some last minute checks. I have to reboot the lobby. So just please bear with us. But that does give us time a little bit to talk, because sometimes, let's be honest, State, sometimes KDL moves a little too fast. Like, we want to talk about the players and the tracks a bit more, and we're just like, okay, well, let's talk about this player. Never mind, back into the next track.
I almost feel like an auctioneer sometimes with the analysis that we have to do. There's so much to say in really a short period of time, but Liiv SANDBOX, frankly, just getting outplayed right there in speed mode, which is a concerning thing for me, because you got to think that MSJ, even if they do lose in item mode here, say that Liiv SANDBOX even is able to sweep this thing, Hero, with the play that he was able to bring in speed mode, just individually, it was out of this world. And he is the speed ace on MSG. It is not Hojun, which you might think, because on paper, Hojun, being a legend, of course he's going to be the speed ace. No, it's Hero, and he kind of proved why they're in speed mode. So I'm worried right now for Liiv SANDBOX. Even if they win item mode, should we go into that ace match, you think that with the performance that he's put on today, it's going to be Hero coming out from MSJ, and
oh, yeah.
I don't know if anyone on LSB can actually stop him.
Yeah, the condition that Hero's in today, absolutely. I mean, maybe sure just because of, again, the calmness of Hojun, depending on the track, but I would not be surprised if we got there at all, if it's going to be Hero. Meanwhile, we do have a packed house in the studio tonight. And well, we should also mention, for those who haven't been able to follow the entire history of Cartwrighter, pretty interesting match here because of how deep the history is on MIRAEN and SEJONG. Whenever they meet some of these other pro teams, they're going to have a lot of ex-teammates, right? So earlier you mentioned, of course, ByungSu being an old teammate of Sensation back on preseason 1 with Hojun and Guard. But you actually have Jimin, who used to be teammates with them as well back in the Cartwrighter League when Hojun was coaching. And then afterwards, actually it was Hero who joins that team under the coaching of Hojun and becomes a Royal Roader in his very first season. So curious to see how that chemistry continues over here on MIRAEN and SEJONG. And also, how much do they know their ex-teammates over on Liiv SANDBOX?
I mean, there could be some mind games in that too. You play enough games with somebody on, whether you're a teammate or an opponent going up against each other, and you can kind of get some insight into their styles. Oh, we had like playing cards
for Neil. It's just like his own little album. All right, we got a super fan in the audience. I'm with it. I'm with it. I'm digging it.
I'm also a Neil super fan. I'm with that guy.
I mean, Neil's just so likable as well, right? I think that's one of the biggest reasons he has such a huge following. And of course, all the fans from both teams just having fun.
ByungSu, look at that art. He looks like a villain in an anime.
I've never seen him look so angry. He's actually very kind of, he doesn't show it. Yeah, he does.
All right, fellas, we're going to try going into item mode one more time. MSJ winning in speed as we move on to Mine Mother mode.
It's not good to lie to the audience, State.
I'm sorry. It's just a habit at this point. I can't help it.
I mean, yeah, we see the screen come up and we're like, all right, well, first of all, we got to do our duties, but we'll just wait and see. Thank you for bearing with us. Listen, things have happened before, and we're fairly quick here at the KDL to move things along.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it's probably an issue with one of the players' PCs. I mean, we have so many computers that are on stage, not only just the players, but also the observers. It's hard to run a production like this one, let me tell you. It's a lot of effort. It's a really big team that goes into this. I think we're actually getting into it. Okay, guys, for real this time, Mine Mother load, item round 1.
Here we
Let's go.
Third time's the charm, and we don't even wait for the countdown. We just jump right in here to item mode. Now, this is our very first track in item mode. So, MIRAEN and SEJONG, they have the set lead here with speed win, but it resets here for item mode in a best of 5.
By the way, one kind of funny thing to note is I'm looking at the heart rates right now, the players, after we had that long tech pause, and it's way lower than it normally is. I think everybody was able to just kind of take a chill pill, relax for a moment, but all right, let's look at this one. So already Guard kind of getting flashes of ROX esports as he's taking a pretty sizable lead right now with the water balloons coming in from MSJ on the flank. And I'm liking this play.
Yeah, this is, again, one of those tracks where you can use those water bombs. A lot of these mine tracks, actually. I mean, there's so many narrow, nice big banana as well. And Hojun with the body blocking in between the railing. This is the same strategy that Seongnam ROX had of just keep the lead, block them with whatever you got. If it means you have to use your cart body, do it.
Yeah, and by the way, this is such a tempo-based track that for a moment there was almost no players with any items in their inventories, as everyone is just trying to cycle through everything they get as quickly as possible to close the distance on Hojin, as Hojin still barely in first place. Dalda now finally able to pass him, so LSB coming to life a little bit here. The item ace with a big play, and HyunSoo also taking the shortcut until he gets sucked up by the UFO.
Yeah, he's going to get slowed down just a tad bit. But we do have a Siren on HyunSoo, so he has some good defenses there to try to keep the lead. And then Dalda with a Magnet as well. So this means Dalda actually now has the opportunity to not only pull someone back, but try to overtake should HyunSoo lose that first place in the third lap.
Yeah, and Dalda actually losing all that momentum right there on the up ramp means he's going to fall to 8th place. It doesn't matter how high ranked he was. He doesn't have the momentum to continue keep going up that uphill. And now for Hojin and Hero, it's going to be mostly on them to try and get this one done. You see Nock doing some nice body blocking right there on HyunSoo. As soon as he passes, actually a Thunderbolt coming in. Angel Shield wasn't able to block it because of the extra attack. So MSJ picking up some more tempo right now, even with boosts and more Angel Shields.
Yeah, I love it. I love the double attacks. ByungSu not going to land on the shortcut. He wants to make sure he recycles items so that he can get some attacks, but we're going to have that Angel Shield come out. And now the body blocking coming into play. You still have an EMP on Hero as well, so Magnet not going to be able to be used, but no one has it anyway. UFO gets dispelled immediately, and Hero, there's nothing to stop him as he crosses the finish line, bringing a point lead here, 1-0 for MIRAEN SEJONG in item mode.
And Liiv SANDBOX in that home stretch had literally no items left at their disposal. It was just them trying to cycle through as fast as they possibly could to stop the racers from MSJ from gaining tempo on them. And you know, this is the style that we see winning more and more as this meta is starting to get figured out. It's a lot faster paced with all the additional gears coming in with the heroic tier, and also with some of the new items as well. You know, there's not as much emphasis on wombo combo because when you add in new items, suddenly that means that you're getting the old items less as well on the 3-star tracks. They're getting a little bit more diluted. I don't think we've had a single instance so far that I can recollect, at least from the games that I casted, where in item mode, one team gets like 3 or 4 Thunderbolts. But go back to the preseason, that was a pretty common occurrence. So this tempo-based play paying dividends not only for ROX Esports earlier on today with the first team match, but now with MSJ. Here in the second one, as they won speed mode, they're now up 1-0 here in item mode. Can they keep the momentum going as we move on to the next track? It's going to be Forest Mushroom Caves. MIRAEN SEJONG 2 map wins away from sweeping Liiv SANDBOX here, both in speed and item mode.
Yeah, we'll see if they can continue that momentum, because if they can, I mean, MIRAEN SEJONG, just because of the players on this roster, a lot of people said they're still going to be a contender, even though they're under a new pro team banner here in the regular season. Meanwhile, Liiv SANDBOX, they were always meant to be a contender, and if they lose today, they are actually going to fall further behind than they ever have during the preseasons.
Yeah, but they're also getting some really tough opponents to start this one out, right? Their opening match on day one to really kick off the regular season of the KDL was against the Freaks. And it doesn't get harder than that, as those two teams were, you know, going up against each other in the finals every single preseason. They're arch rivals, but now MSJ coming in, showing why a lot of teams, as you said, were really high on them ever since that event in Daejeon. This is a star-studded roster, and they're off to a great start again here. And Nock, Hojin, and Hero really filling out the middle ranks. Dalda and Jimin for LSB just a little bit behind.
Yeah, I mean, it's still going to be pretty close as we enter lap 2. Now, before we get towards the end, again, water bombs can do a lot of damage, as we see right now, but the timing, actually, Hero avoids it just in time, so he's going to be able to shoot far forward with a shield. He's able to use it to defend. He still has a magnet to pull someone back if he loses that first place.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX right now actually not picking up a lot of attack items, mostly nitrous and shield, so we do not see a water wisp coming out. It is deflected there by Guard, and UFO also even popping. Was so close there in the first rank, but actually it's going to be Dalda, the item ace for Liiv SANDBOX, who gets slowed down. And now for MSJ, I'm really liking their position. They have a Thunderbolt on Nock. Hojin right now in third place has double nitrous.
Yeah, the shields are being eaten up as well. G-Man, they're trying to draw out all the shields. They're waiting for that Thunderbolt, and we'll see if the Nitrous can come into play. The shield is eliminated. Where is that Thunderbolt coming out from Nock? It's coming in now, and there's no defense. You even see the Wisp coming out from Hero as he boosts forward. Sure, he gets spun out, but now the Magnet comes into play as Hojin shoots forward across the bridge. Excellent, excellent timing coming out from MIRAEN SEJONG as they lead 2-0 in item mode.
Yeah, not having an Angel Shield there to deflect the Thunderbolt means that Liiv SANDBOX loses so much momentum just 300 meters out from the finish line. And MSJ, once again, having a 1-2 punch available. It wasn't Hero, it was Hojun. They were the double nitros, but really either of them, whichever one didn't take the aggro, had the potential to cross that finish line first. So really a tremendous win for them as they are playing at the top of their game right now. I mean, I gotta say, I saw this roster on paper, but I watched some of their opening matches, and I wasn't really buying into the hype of MIRAEN and SEJONG, even though they do have the star power.
Sure.
But here coming in against Liiv SANDBOX, dominating in speed mode, especially through hero skill, and now in item mode going up 2-0. They're looking like stars.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about this as we were getting prepared for today, but also it just seems like most players are getting more and more used to Kart Rider Drift as we prepared for the regular season. We'll see if that trend continues as we get ready for match point on the side of MIRAEN and SEJONG. We go into Mine Magma Cavern. No item wins yet tonight from Liiv SANDBOX. They're going to have to need another one here as they try to make a reverse sweep happen to get to that ace match.
A couple of early attacks come through. Hojun in first place, already picking up a shield, so able to deflect one of them. We'll see if he gets a second item. Oh, actually, I think he missed that item box there. I don't really know how he threaded the needle on those items, but something happened.
Yeah, well, he doesn't make that mistake again, right? Now getting that double shield, he's going to still be able to hold on to that relative lead, but Jimin's actually pressuring him. They both spin out off of the track, water bombs and barriers. They're continuing to be strong on this track for the most part.
Yeah, Liiv SANDBOX doing a good job of not letting MSJ really run away with the tempo. As Guard actually there, I think, maybe just wanting to play the rear rank role, just wanting to kind of go for some more aggressive items to back up Hojun there in first place. We see him drive off the track. Now it's going to be Hojun with double shields in first, and Hero with a siren. Hoping to catch somebody, but not able to do it.
Yeah, good block just on one player, but he's still able to just maintain his position. Now Hojun not able to hold on to first place. So we're not seeing a dominant tempo yet from MIRAEN and SEJONG, but as you've mentioned before, the items, oh, nice hit. The items are being used so liberally by both teams that it really just might come down to a speed race at the very end of the third lap.
It does kind of feel that way. Oh, I love this siren from Guard. Actually getting two of them. One of those players, I think, actually spun out into the lava.
Yeah.
Which is great. On Magma Cavern, there are some really precarious angles, some tight turns you got to take with lava surrounding you. So sirens and also those rockets, you know, with the balloons, they cause you to spin out. Very dangerous on this track.
Oh, Jimin, nice dodge on the water bomb, but the barrier actually holds on to Guard, so Guard gets pulled back a bit. Now that means Hero up front, and it's actually better because he had the EMP and now refreshes to double shields. He's able to block out one, still refresh to another double shield as well. EMP on Guard. The defenses are there for MIRAEN and SEJONG.
Oh, but the water balloon comes through. Two of the MIRAEN and SEJONG players get caught as we have 300 meters left to go. It's going to be double shield right now on Hero. Jimin going to make a play right there with a nitrous, but he gets caught by a water wisp. ByungSu, though. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I thought he had it. And instead, MIRAEN and SEJONG just absolutely pumped up. That was so close with Nuck barely edging out ByungSu in the final moments. I thought Liiv SANDBOX had a fighting chance, but no.
Oh, man, that hurts. ByungSu, he was somewhat aware of it, too, but I think in the last second, he thought he was clear, and he wasn't paying as close attention to how to body block against the wall. He was just trying to make sure he was guarding all the potential options, and Nock threads right in between the wall and ByungSu for a clean 3-0 in item mode. And that brings home the 2-0 match victory for MIRAEN and SEJONG.
That's basically a sweep. MIRAEN and SEJONG are going to be really happy with this one because they just took down one of the toughest opponents in the league. And for Liiv SANDBOX, I mean, you can see this is kind of a momentum killer for this team. I mean, losing the first match of the season to the Kwangdong Freaks, that's always permissible. They're going to be your prime opponents in the postseason most likely, but now coming through, as you said, this is probably the lowest that they've been ranked through KDL this entire year, from preseason 1 to preseason 2, and now here into the regular season, falling 3-1 in speed, 3-0 in item to MIRAEN and SEJONG. That's a painful, painful defeat.
Yeah, and you know, we always kind of like to look at the tier differences between the pro teams and the amateur teams. I mean, part of it is really, of course, just the organization and the backing you have, but that generally means you also have more resources to build a star-studded roster. And Liiv SANDBOX has now lost to 2 out of the 3 potential pro team opponents here in the KDL in both Guangdong Freaks and MIRAEN SEJONG. So the only pro team opponent left for them would be Seongnam ROX awaiting. Meanwhile, MIRAEN SEJONG, they beat Seongnam ROX. Of course, it went down to the ace match, but a victory is a victory. And now, with a clean win against Liiv SANDBOX, only dropping 1 round, that's got to be a confidence booster as they prepare for Guangdong Freaks in the coming weeks.
Yeah, that means Liiv SANDBOX, not only are they 1-2 overall in the standings, but they have a negative set differential and a negative round differential.
Oof.
So those tiebreakers coming through, you know, at the end of the day, we might see Liiv SANDBOX in the standings down to maybe 5th place as a result of this defeat. Yeah, that's getting a little bit scary, and actually now we get to see the standings right now, and they're down in 6th, even falling behind Nutmite because of that round differential. That's painful, and you know, I'm not imagining that we are in a world where Liiv SANDBOX is not going to make the postseason.
Sure.
I think they're still going to make it no matter what. This team is just too stacked in terms of skill, but you got to be concerned as a fan.
Yeah, and that does mean that their chances of being in the top 3 to make sure they're secured for the postseason is pretty rough, right? I mean, sure, we look at the roster and you say they'll probably still get into 4th and 5th for that wildcard match. Yeah, that's very possible because they had a rougher start to the schedule. But if you're not in the top 3, you just have to play more matches, and then you face potential elimination in that wildcard match. So Liiv SANDBOX, a bit of a longer road ahead of them. Meanwhile, MIRAEN SEJONG now currently looking to challenge Guangdong Freaks in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough for Liiv SANDBOX to get past some of these teams. Like Desperado's been playing really well. Banana is a fantastic in item mode. Ghost has been really good for them in aces. And even in speed mode, this team, it feels like it's very well-rounded. So, you know, the journey is not over for Liiv SANDBOX. They might really have to be fighting to get into that postseason.
Yeah, and also just trying to figure out, okay, what else do we need to work on in this current meta, both in speed and item mode. We started to see Seongnam ROX show a lot of improvements today in item mode. Liiv SANDBOX, maybe they have to go back to the drawing board a bit because their selections there, eventually they gave the win over to MIRAEN SEJONG. But that's it for team matches tonight. Of course, we still have more in store. 8 more players trying to get into the round of 16 and solo matches. We'll bring you that match right after this break.
하겠다는 얘기예요.
찬 있어? 없어.
첫
아 늦었다 미안.
해지
있어.
해지.
아 해지스타 미사일 날렸잖아요.
아
한 판에 1,400개 다 먹음. 오 오늘 템은 좋은데?
의지야 근데 너 예선 파지법이랑 좀 다른 거 같은데?
왜?
자리 좀 빼서 했던 거 같기도 하고 그렇게 하는 게 괜찮아?
이게 또 나쁜 거. 아니 나쁜 거 같단다.
나쁜 거 같아 뭐라는 거야?
이 4명 장난 아닙니다.
다은아 스피드 에이스로 올렸다.
원래 뭐였지?
너 러너.
아 저 하이브리드 아니었어요?
아 아이브리드는
호준이 형 아이템 에이스고.
스피드에이스 누군데 그러면?
아니다. 나 러너.
고스트라이커 원투 펀치가 조금 더 안정적이었던 데스페라도가
고스트라이커. 고스트라이커. 딱이네 둘이. 나 쇼타임 때도 막 ST 라이커 이랬다고 나한테. 쇼트라이커네 쇼트라이커.
이런 식으로 고스트가 먼저 잘 치고 나갔다면 스트라이커는 이제 다시 조율하게 되죠.
날렸어. 오케이.
나이스.
오케이.
사실 예상치 못한 변수가 분명히 일어날 수 있는 트랙이기 때문에
뒤에 죽였어.
7-8 멀어.
고스트에게까지 못 닿을 수도 있습니다. 앞쪽에 2명이나 있기 때문에요.
초레스케이터 막습니다.
하나 둘 뚫렸다.
스트라이커가 이걸 라인 분명 커버해 줄 거거든요.
나 드랩 좀 끼워라. 자 빨리 오른쪽. 지금
간다
채워줘. 실수한다 뒤에.
안전하게.
아 죽었어.
마무리 대체돼. 어유 초돌.
원체야.
18. 이거야.
나이스.
나이스. 야 어땠어? 내려오고 있자. 와.
반지세로 야매?
너무 잘해줬습니다. 오늘 스트라이커 최고의 컨디션이었어요.
이렇게 하는 거 맞나?
오늘 지금 연패라. 이건 또 느낌이 다르거든요.
양 팀의 러너가 빠르게 앞쪽으로 치고 나갈 수 있을지를 먼저 봐야겠네요.
보면서
실망 콜해줘 한번. 아니 2개 봐야 돼. 좋았어.
주행만 해봐.
미리 점프대 구간 직전에 드랩 빠지면서 밀어줬던 그 나비 효과가 이제 서서히 나오고 있는 겁니다.
아 머리 내리고 나서 달라졌어요 병수.
차면서 잡아볼게.
평소에 컨디션 좋아 보입니다.
버텼습니다. 뛴 거야. 근데 도치 올랐으면 이거는 현섬유.
1등 해야 돼 이거.
1등만.
1등 봐봐 1등. 반대 미남 잡보자.
나 빨았다.
나 하나 잡았다 6등.
미드를 잘 쥐고 있어서 편하다는 사운드는 또 몰라요.
어려울 때 현수.
어려울 때 캡틴 현수거든요. 어려울 때
현수 왔어,
캡틴이
현수.
올라옵니다.
현수와 병수.
드랩 받아요.
하나 죽였어.
나이스. 살기만 해봐. 나이스 1등. 나이스.
앞에 차례.
게임 틀리겠다 느낌이거든요. 자 현수.
오 현수.
나 봤어.
나이스.
이제 빨리 한번 가봐.
이거 첫번만 봐줘.
야.
경수 현수가 이번에는 스윕합니다.
막는 중.
뒤에 멀어지긴 했어.
아 이제 병수가 러너만 하는 선수가 아니라는 거죠. 샌드박스 던지며 멀티 포지션의 길로 가는 거니까요.
이렇게 밀과 지민 병수가 원도 스르르 리버 샌드박스.
고마워.
새로운 인물들을 한번 만나보도록 하겠습니다. Always 미러. 05년생이 나이가 많아요.
08년생이 또 막내고요. 참 다양하게 어떻게 보면 좀 새로운 느낌이 좀 있잖아요.
맞아요.
네, 이러한 것들을 오렌지가 좀 보여줘야 되는데
지금 손이 많이 돌았는데.
자, 이제 무브가 올라왔습니다만 살짝 추천하고 있는 녹이고요.
아 다이아몬드가 합류할 때까지 시간을 좀 잘 끌었어야 되는데 드래프트를 너무 쉽게 내줬네요.
아니 내가 상대한테 무리해서 앞티키 해가지고 내 순위를 못 챙겼다 이거.
코스가 워낙 구조가 복잡하기 때문에 실수 나오죠 이러면.
흘러갑니다. 1세트는 이대로 마무리될 때 녹이 여유 있게 이렇게 들어옵니다.
아 나 진짜 지금 너무 긴장했어. 상위권에서 한 방에 뚝 떨어졌어 나. 아이템 따고 애교 가자 그냥.
얘들아 스피드 어때?
야무지네.
힘드네요.
야무져? 그래 아이템 잡자.
거의 됐어. 우주 하나.
상대 둘 맞았어. 우리 이 새끼야.
우주 못 넘어가 못 넘어가.
떨어져.
리파 하나.
나 용준님 한 번 더 아프게.
한명
상대
떨궜다.
알이야.
한명 떨궜어.
상대 둘 알. 우리 순위 좋아. 천사 하나 먹어보자. 나 파리. 물 조심하자.
3미 맞아.
콜 해줄게.
물 안 보여.
1등 안 맞아. 1등 우주로 떨구자. 우주.
넘어가겠다.
못 넘어. 못 넘어. 알이야.
소리?
우리 순위 좋아. 괜찮아.
근데 가드가 빠르게 붙였어요.
우주선에 대해서 해지로 한번 풀어내긴 했는데 다시 리필이 됐기 때문에 일단 넘어갈 수 있을 것 같습니다.
우주 챙길게.
챙겨줘.
이거 그냥 다음 판.
다음 거에서 하자. 이거 안 쓸게.
저 2등 쏠게요. 2등.
우주죠 우주.
우주 2개야.
떨어져.
나 우주.
상대 둘알.
나 떨어졌어.
나도 떨어졌다.
괜찮아. 잠깐만.
이미 돌아.
깔지 마.
뒤에서 뭔가 들어와야 돼요.
이 사이에 히어로가 자석 있습니다. 자석.
아리야 이겼어. 나이스 샷. 이거지. 애결 가자고.
애결지력 마이애미.
드라이. 빛이라는데?
나갈 사람.
제가요? 그럼?
네가 해.
제가 할게요.
다원이 한대 다원이.
아 근데 나 오늘 별론데 스피드.
영훈이 시키자.
나 해?
그래 영훈이가 해.
아 영훈이 형 하자.
영훈이.
저도 돼. 우리 아이템 이기만으로 증명한 거야. 잘해. 그냥 긴장만 하지 말고 편하게만 해.
자, 가드는 진짜 중요한 상황이 나온 겁니다.
자기 좀 약간 달라진 장면들이 있죠.
근데 가드 선수도 지금 뒤에 굉장히 깔끔하게 잘 가면서
이러면 이거 아무 흔들리죠. 드랩 해줬어요.
오히려
일단은 옆쪽.
가드가 부담되거든요.
바로 뒤에 있어요. 드랩 타이밍 보고 인코스 열어놨는데 갑자기 다 들려고 하겠죠. 끝났죠. 다이아몬드는 영원히 빛납니다. 승리 얻기 어렵다. 이런 얘기가 나왔던 팀인데 첫 번째 경기부터 미래 세종을 잡고 갑니다. 그러니까 지금 바나나가 웃고 있잖아. 이 대왕 바나나가.
진욱이는 귓구멍 조심하시고.
아 나 근데 사운드 너무 큰데 지금 안 그래도?
하나, 둘, 셋.
아 오랜만이다.
들을만하고만.
양팀 다 이 천사는 결국 마지막 직선 구간에서 서로 아마 사용을 하게 될 것 같고
오빠 사이트 해야 돼.
1파 줬어.
나 맞을게.
1파 쉴드야. 1미 쏴봐.
1미 쐈어.
나 돌아갈 거야 이거.
둘이 해야 돼.
아야 태민아 그냥 잠깐만 대기. 잠깐 대기.
일명 막템도 중요하거든요.
성민 갑니다. 성민.
붙어!
이제 부스야.
힘이 샀어. 차 사줘. 가자.
그냥 가야 돼. 이거야.
프리스카이. 예, 부스터 있죠. 프리스카이.
맞아. 1미 하나 더. 머리 안 돼.
머리 안 돼 그냥 질러.
프리스카이가 그대로 타이어버립니다.
이거지. 그래 진우가 그거야.
나이스.
내가 그렇게 알려줬잖아. 그거야.
오케이.
이렇게 서로 눈치 싸움을 하는지 봐야 되거든요.
바나나.
빨리 막 콜해 빨리 막 콜.
그냥 가야 돼. 이겼다. 나이스.
고스와 성민입니다. 고스의 성민. 네. 일단 옆으로 사이드 바이 사이드 일단 버티고요. 드랩을 받았다는 걸 판단을 했기 때문에 파악을 했기 때문에 성빈이 이런 식으로 가는 거예요. 같이 되겠습니다만 양 선수 모두 치열합니다.
여기 라인 꼬 있는 거 부담돼요 서로.
자 서로가 떨어질 뻔했습니다만 버티면서 일단 성민과 고스 그대로 유지합니다. 찌는 구간에 부딪힐 수 있기 때문에 약하게 가야죠.
자, 라인이 없는 구간에 성민 선수가 승부수 걸었는데 이렇게 되면 양 선수에게는
따라갔다가 히터 구간에 완전히 밀어버리면서 생각하겠다는 얘기예요.
피터 누가 더 잘 들어가는지.
여기에서
근데
밀었습니다.
아직 있어요. 아직 있어요.
고스.
자, 드랩이 뭐예요?
성빈 고스. 정말 마지막 성빈이 이렇게 들어옵니다. 아 정말 고스도 잘한 경기였는데. 어마어마한 카운터 펀치가 장렬했네요.
역시 원조 애결 중독자면 바로 이 배상하는 배선빈이죠.
Come to Rick if you come to my chick. If my name in your mouth, better add the respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I bun you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone. Throw it off of my brain and I'm bad to the bone.
Welcome back, everyone. We continue with day 5 of the Kartrider Drift League first ever regular season. My name is Will Cho. Of course, we've been continuing the broadcast with State by my side. And now we're done with the team matches for the weekend, so now we wait for solos.
Yeah, round of 32, Group C. I feel very lucky that I've been able to cast every single group of the solos thus far, man.
Okay.
It's always my favorite part of the KDL, the solo matches. They are just chaos captured in a bottle. As we look here at the overview, right now we're in the round of 32, Group C. So we're almost done with the round of 32. Top 3 players from each group advance immediately into the round of 16. Positions 4 and 5 from each group will go into a redemption match. That's just one extra round for those 8 players. Top 4 of them will join the rest of the gamers in the round of 16. And then from there, it's very straightforward. We go into round of 16. We have a winner's match, we have a loser's match, and then eventually we have the finals.
Yeah, and of course here we take a look at the entire roster lineups of the solo matches. We already had 6 players secure round of 16, 4 players awaiting the redemption match, and then now in Group C, 3 more will join the likes of Neil, Boong, Sungbin, and World, and then of course 2 more will be joining members like Hong, Squad, Hero, and Scald for that potential redemption match.
Yeah, in Group C, kind of a mix of veterans and stars and some players that are a little bit up and coming and rookies, like Suit, for instance. I think it's his first time appearing here in the KDL solos, or maybe even in the Kartrider League solos, as he just seems to be a very new name, but cool. One of the best in the world, not just in team speed, but also in solo speed. Knock, ByungSu, Guard, Striker. I mean, we've already seen what Guard can do today, right? So it should be a really fun group. I'm looking forward to this one.
Yeah, just now, while they were waiting for their teammates' winners interviews, I saw Hojin was just telling his teammates, like Guard and Nog, just saying, all right, just do all the solos now, right? We've already done our part in the team matches, so do what you can. Of course, you see all the players on screen. We'll be waiting to introduce them one by one.
I mean, those players are already warmed up, too, right? You just won against Liiv SANDBOX, one of your toughest opponents in the league, so they're going to be feeling good, but for Spear, he is just focused on qualifying. Round of 32, he was able to not get that far in preseason 1, but in preseason 2, a really good run, getting a top 4 finish.
Yeah, I mean, preseason 1, it was a rough group, but he wasn't able to break through. Now, preseason 2, he's able to say, no, I'm still in the game. We'll see if he can recreate that magic. Meanwhile, Striker, we actually saw an amazing ace match from him over the, during the week on Wednesday. It's been a while since he's joined the solo, so we'll see how he does, as he wasn't able to take part in preseason 2 here on the main stage.
And by the way, those cart bodies, I don't know if you've noticed a pattern yet, but every single racer here is running a 7-4-9-2 build on the hover shark. So don't be too surprised if you keep seeing it. That's kind of the meta play right now, as Garth says he's just going to try and live and see another day. See you alive. He didn't get too far in either of the preseasons, but we know that he's capable of racing with the best of them. We'll see what he can do today.
Yeah, meanwhile, ByungSu now had a kind of devastating defeat, actually, in team matches just earlier before the break against MIRAEN and SEJONG. But we'll see how he does in solos. And he wants to, avoid mistakes. Let's make sure I don't have bad luck and then keep growing my hair out. So the fans are in love with trying to figure out what's going to happen to ByungSu's hair next. They're like curious, is he going to dye it again in a different color? What haircut he's going to go with? That's the meme for Liiv SANDBOX. And so he's saying, I'm just going to grow it out.
Yeah, Knock is just going to try and play a really slow style here. Oh, I love this. I have to go. Oh, man, you're going too fast, Knock. I can't read that, man.
He has too many. He's got too many fans.
I'm ready to knock. This is the Powerpuff Knock. I love that one, actually. That's so good.
Now, Knock's a player. He's one of the kind of OG pension meta players, right, known as a super observer, but that might not work anymore because, of course, we have a couple new rules we'll talk about later. This time, Will. Funny enough, his Korean name literally translates to the word will, right, like the will to live, or you have great will. So he's saying, I just want to live up to that name.
We'll see if he can do it today. It's a tough group to compete in, but, only top 5 to move on to the next round if you're content with falling to the redemption match. So really, anyone can do it, but this guy, me and Trover were actually joking about this during the break. I said, Trover, you know what? We're going to come in. Cool's going to win track number 1. He's going to win track number 2. He's going to win track number 3. We're going to go home. And so to see this, see Cool say he's going to finish this with 30 points, as that is a new rule here in the KDL solos. In the solo matches, if you win 3 rounds in a row at any point, doesn't even have to be the start, it's over. You get first.
Yeah, and meanwhile, our last player in the orange stripes, Suit just saying, all right, just follow my tail. Okay, also trying to say that he's going to get the lead. Now, of course, a very new face here in the KDL. You mentioned it earlier, State. We haven't seen him at all make it to the main stages here in preseasons. Also, just a funny note, he has confirmed that the way he wants his name pronounced on the Korean stream is Sweet.
I know that too, but
it's
also,
a word. It's
I'm
a
not,
word too. So we're just going to go with the...
You need to change your name to Sweet if you want me to say
Well, listen, on the
Sweet.
Korean side, I get it. I can see how it works as a pun, but we're going to call him Suit in case anyone's wondering. And now we get ready for the very first track. Cool. Will he be able to finish with just 30 points? We find out as we go into Mexico Touring Rally. The race begins. So just to rehash that new rule once again, at any point, if you get first place 3 tracks in a row, it doesn't have to be at the beginning, then you will end the race regardless of point system. And so we actually had this happen last weekend where Hero was in danger of getting entirely eliminated because Seongnam was so close to getting 3 in a row.
Yeah, but he did get saved there in the end. We've actually had multiple instances so far with players getting closer and closer to 3 in a row, but no one's quite been able to get it just yet as we watch Suit, and he's actually doing really well right now, rounding out the top 4. Fun little fact about Suit, he actually had no plans of becoming a pro gamer. He just played in the qualifiers to play them. Right now, he's focused on his studies, so for him to come in and qualify for the KDL solo matches, and also here in the first track, put on a pretty good show like this one, he's contesting this top spot. Very impressive stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's been sweeping amateur tournaments all throughout Korea. And then he said, yeah, I'm gonna just sit this one out. And then now he comes back. He's still in contention for this entire race, still not far behind as we enter the canyons here. And of course, some iffy lines that you're gonna have to take as we go through these curves.
That guard right now in first place does fall in a second. It's actually, we have a lot of collisions right behind Striker, but not too much momentum lost. Keep in mind, those collisions, they do not deplete your nitrous gauge anymore. So everyone gonna go on the left side build here. Will now in first place, guard right behind him.
Yeah, Will just trying to deviate from the pack a bit earlier to make sure he doesn't get bumped out. That allows him to keep the inner line. He's trying to stay just 1 inch ahead, but Cool out of nowhere from 7th place all the way up to 1st. Will just be able to draft and boost his way across the finish line. Wow, what a performance from the preseason 1 solos champion.
Yeah, very quiet start, but just strikes. I love that poster. He's like, yeah, what of it? I won. What of it?
This is so just so we're clear, they don't have multiple poses in store. That's his pose, but it just works so well for this very first track.
You're going to see through his mind's eye what was going to happen. He's like, yeah, I won. No big deal.
Wow.
Yeah, Cool just really coming out of nowhere, getting that first place. And, hey, he said he's going to win 3 tracks in a row. He's going to close this one out with 30 points. He's a third of the way there already, Chobra.
Yeah, and this also just goes to show how much experience matters, right? Because while Suit had a good start, we see this a lot with some of the amateur players where they'll have a good start, they're keeping in the lead for the first half, and then once other players start to go for these opportune moments, they fall behind. Maybe they're not used to the pressure, they're not used to the aggressive style in the second half of a race. So Suit falls all the way down to 8th place with -1, but now Cool leading with 10 points. He takes us to track 2, trying to go for the 3-peat. It's going to be Boom Hill Tunnel.
All eyes on Cool as we start track number 2 on Boom Hill Tunnel. A 1-lapper, but really one where you have to fight for with some of these long lines. And Cool, look at this start that he's off to, man.
Yeah.
Just absolutely tremendous here entering the first tunnel.
Yeah, very aggressive cuts around that first curve. Now Spear's still able to regain some of that advantage. And Suit, again, I mean, he has good starts. And I think this is, again, what we see with a lot of amateur players. When they're able to kind of play their own style for the first part of a race, you can see, okay, you know, your time trials are probably pretty good. But when people start to draft right behind you and they start to take these inner lines, how do you adapt? Suit for now, he's recovering, but what does this mean? It means Cool has no one attacking him because it's all between Spear, Suit, and Striker.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, actually with a lot of collisions, and Cool, to set himself up for this, he was almost playing this one like an ace match, just kind of body blocking everybody behind him, and now look at these collisions. He is pulling away. He might be out of drafting range very soon if he's able to keep this up. Striker goes for the build, the kneel build as we like to say, going up on that high ground, but wasn't able to do it. So it's just Will trying to stop Cool right now, but we have a lot of really tricky turns coming up. Cool goes through this jump, he's gonna navigate as well, but Will does not! And now it's Suit, the rookie, gonna try and stop him. 90-degree angle, 400 meters left to go. Cool, he's gonna win his second track in a row. Is the prophecy coming true?
And this was with absolute ease. You called it, State. He was continuing to just break away from the rest of the pack. No one in draft range for more than about half of that entire track of Boom Hill Tunnel. And Will had a good idea. I mean, when you enter that first 90-degree turns off the bridge, he actually was able to get a quick stop to reposition himself. That was good, but then he lines himself poorly on the first jump, hits the boxes. Suit does his best to catch up, but Cool is way ahead in boost gauge.
Yeah, even sets a new record here on Boom Hill Tunnel. As, you know, the second half of that map, he was basically on time trial mode, man. Nobody came close. And now we are one track away. If Cool wins the next track, it is over, folks. He is locked into first place, and the standings are going to fall where they fall. So for everybody in this race right now, the question is, can you stop Cool? And if you can't stop Cool, you need to get a podium finish here, man. You need to get as many points on the board as possible because those standings, after only 3 tracks, they can shake up so fast. And now we're getting ready to go to Cool's map choice yet again. Is he going to be able to close it out in 3 tracks as he predicted? Let's find out on Mine Winding Slopes.
All eyes on Cool as we begin another one-lapper. Now this track, of course, a very loved track by the Guangdong Freaks racers. Even the observer knows Cool, it's all down to him. Currently in 8th place, but we saw what he did in that very first track.
Yeah, and he fell in 8th place partly because, you know, the start didn't go quite his way, but also he just wanted to focus on building that nitrous gauge. So he's able to really quickly close the distance. And now with a healthy nitrous gauge, and on top of that, also a lot of drafting. He's already worked his way all the way back into 3rd as somebody fell off the track. And now it's Cool passing guard for top 3. And look at him cut everybody off on these corners, man. Yeah, he's not just thinking of passing, he's thinking of the players behind him.
Yeah, he's sweeping at the same time here in solos right now.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow. Let's just note, by the way, because if this ends the way that we think it might, with Cool finishing in first 3 times in a row, his teammate Spear is actually in danger of being eliminated entirely as he's currently in 6th place. But a nice collision and block from Will. That might be what a lot of these racers currently want to see.
Yeah, we'll see, though. Cool's taking a really tight inner line on both of these turns, and keep in mind with that nitrous gauge. Oh, he goes with a spin move. He knows all eyes are on him. He closes a lot of the distance. Now only ByungSu in front.
Yeah, and he's trying to overtake. He gets the draft off of ByungSu, but Will out of nowhere with a nice draft around the inner line, and Striker will jump above him as well. But it doesn't matter who it was as long as Cool did not get first. Striker breathing a sigh of relief as he was also actually in danger of being eliminated had Cool finished in first place.
Wow, that was so close. If Will is not able to deliver that block, I think Cool, if he navigates those turns with that incredibly tricky spin turn move, which we've only seen succeed, you know, maybe 50% of the time in KDL preseason and the KDL regular season, it's a hard move to pull off. Cool was able to do it, and he still almost finished in first place despite that block, but instead, you know, he doesn't win the track. It's not over yet, but still he's halfway there. 25 points on the board, and it feels like now we might be racing to 50.
Yeah, there's a good chance. Of course, now Striker has the opportunity to try to go for a 3-peat at resets whenever a new player gets that first place. So Striker 1 on the board. But also, with that first place, he shoots way above on the leaderboard in terms of score. He gets into 2nd place. Now he takes us to his choice of track in round number 4 of Solos Group C in the round of 32. We go to World Tour Miami Drive.
Starting now on this 2-lap track through the streets of Miami. Just a quick recap of the standings. Cool, of course, in first place with 25 points in total on the board, but that spot for the redemption match, very close. Guard, Spear, and Suit, 8-8-7 in points, all trying to vie for that 5th spot.
Yeah, it's going to be a real close one. And Striker, he actually goes for the double boost build right off the bat. Most players avoiding that both in teams and solos, but that's allowed him to stay in podium range. Now Spear, that's one of the players you mentioned. He's trying to break into the top 4 and eventually, hopefully, top 3 of points so he can secure himself in the round of 16.
Right now he's right on the cusp, so he needs to really start playing for some podium finishes because Cool, keep in mind, he's at 25 points. You know, you get 10 points for a win, you get a lot of points for 2nd place too, and Cool feels like he's gonna be vying for a top 3 finish. Pretty much every single track is once again here on Miami as we're getting ready to close out the 1st lap. Cool is in striking position for another win.
Yeah, and speaking of striking, Striker also trying to go for the 3-peat, because if that happens, even without the 50 points, he'll be able to overtake Cool and get that 1st seed going into the round of 16. Striker just lining himself off of these jumps. Cool's gonna have to reset, but he does use that boost to his advantage. Ooh,
man,
just keeping it real close on that tree, wants to keep that inner line.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna hit that tree. I threw it back at the Korean pre-show. We're playing some mini games on this track with trees, but all right, now it's Nock versus Striker. As Striker wants to get his 2nd win in a row. Nock is going to try his best. He's going for the outer line right now, then cutting here on the inner, building some more nitrous gauge. Very close.
Striker, good recovery. He's able to keep Nock blocked off. Striker right now, he doesn't want to risk having to fight for points. He wants to go for the 3-peat, but Nock will just drift right around him on the outside, and that gives an opportunity for ByungSu. Striker with a good angle on that boost should have one more advantage. I think the draft just came in for Striker, so it resets. He can't get it fast enough, and he's going to fall further behind as we see Nock entering in 1st place, gaining 10 points to his name.
And Nock almost with a sigh of relief as the administrator comes up to ask him what his map selection is going to be for the next track. Is Nock coming out of that one had 1 point in total on the board. Now he's going all the way up into 11. So he has a pretty good chance now of getting out of this group, even if it means falling into the redemption match and having to fight his way back into the round of 16. But to do it, he had to set a record here on Miami Drive. And man, it's getting really close right now. Cool only put a couple of points on the board right there. Only 1, in fact, going from 25 to 26. So the race starting to slow down a little bit. And keep in mind, guys, of course, if we don't have those 3 wins in a row coming through for any racer, it's all about going to 50.
Yes, whoever gets 50 first ends the race. And I think this might actually be the closest group we've had so far in terms of kind of point disparity, right? Even Suit, who's in last place with 7 points, still has a chance to shoot up into top 3 if he gets a couple 1st place finishes. So that's why you see all these players, they're still kind of nervous. You see ByungSu right next to Striker right now, just trying to stay focused, trying to run the calculations. Here's Guard, also just trying to stay alive, as he said before the match began. Curious to see where Nock takes us on this next track, though.
Yeah, Nock and Guard currently tied for 5th place at 11 points apiece, and that is the cutoff for the redemption match. Top 3 go to the round of 16. 4th and 5th have to fight amongst themselves with the 4th and 5th placements. From all the other groups, the top 4 of that will join the rest of the team in the round of 16, but it's pretty close, man. As you said, this is one of the most hotly contested groups we've had so far in solo matches, and we'll see if it gets even tighter here as we move on to the next track. It is going to be Mine Gold Rush.
Nock's track of choice, Mine Gold Rush, a classic and one that even most of our viewers should be used to if you've been going through the licenses from the beginning of the game, as it's one of the very early races you have to get through. Cool shooting back into 1st. He wants to try to end this as soon as possible. He failed the 3-peat, but he's still very much in the lead in points.
Yeah, 26 points in total, and Mine Gold Rush, even before we had the heroic tier, 4 cards was always been one of the fastest maps because it's very much all about just going downhill and building speed. So we'll see how these racers try to handle all these tight turns, the really difficult 90-degree angle turns. They got to go through just like these ones at these high speeds.
Yeah, ByungSu, some good control there, making sure that he's not in risk of getting pushed away into an outer line, but still able to keep his speed at an optimal level. And just look at the way that he's still able to go for these wide sweeping cuts, making sure he keeps his boost gauge ahead. He's constantly filling it up, because once you go into these downhill sections once again, you want to be constantly hitting that top speed.
Yeah, ByungSu right now sitting at 20 points is in a commanding position to make his way into the round of 16, but Striker's going to try and slow him down just a little bit. They are neck and neck, 20 and 19 points apiece as some blocks coming in, and actually Knock coming through once again at the top 3. He's fighting with Striker, trying to go for this podium finish.
Yeah, he gets a draft off of the jump, but Striker also getting his own, it seems, off of ByungSu as well, so no catch-up from Knock. Meanwhile, Will showing up out of nowhere, trying to contend for a podium finish. Cool now takes the inner line. He's contending for top 3.
Man, Cool is just moving up this rank so quickly. He was at 5th or 6th place just a moment ago. Now he's vying for a first place spot. He's going for the draft on Striker. He has one more nitrous in the bag. Finish line coming through. It's actually going to be ByungSu who takes first place. He even had one more nitrous for good measure right there. Right behind him, but Cool with a top 3 is closing in on 50 points. And for Will, who, you know, coming into this one, didn't have too many points to his name, as ByungSu was one of the cutest possible.
Listen, I'm just going to say, ByungSu knows his audience, all right? ByungSu's got a lot of fans, and he knows his audience. That's all I'm going to say. But ByungSu with the 10 points, I believe that actually puts him only 1 point away from Cool, as Cool fell down to 3rd place away from 2nd.
It's very close at the very least.
So
my arithmetic probably not as good as yours, but
yeah.
Also for Will, who was in 7th, now moving all the way up into top 4.
Yeah, meanwhile, Guard and Spear still a little bit out of reach, even into the redemption match of top 5. So there's a lot of work to be done for those veteran pros down at the bottom of the scoreboard. Meanwhile, ByungSu trying to see if he can overtake Cool. ByungSu wants a bit of redemption from preseason 2, right? A lot of people had high hopes for him off of his debut in preseason 1, and then preseason 2 solos, not a good performance from him.
No, he really struggled, but everything seems to be coming together here for ByungSu as we start off the regular season, and you know, this is where it really matters. This is where the trophy is on the line. We're not really just getting ready with preliminaries for the main event. We're here in the main event, and so what is the map pick going to be? How is he going to try to attack these next couple of lines? Because ByungSu, as you said, he's only 1 point behind Cool now, but also right behind them, the field is so close. Really, everybody in striking distance, it feels, from that redemption match.
Yeah, we see, again, one of those players that's a veteran, but just looking to survive into the round of 16. Guard on your screens right now. Not a name we've had a chance of mentioning much here in this Group C of the round of 32. We'll see if he changes that as we go to ByungSu's pick in the next round. Round 6 in this group in the solo matches. It is going to be Glacier Extreme Stadium.
Glacier Extreme Stadium, one of the classic maps, not just in team speed, but also here in solo speed, as Cool is off to a great start on the snowy slopes.
Yeah, just able to break away from everyone. Will loses a little bit of control on his own drift there, so he's going to fall all the way down into 8th place. Meanwhile, ByungSu, this was his pick. See if this is going to be where he finally is able to overtake Cool and go for that first seed in this group.
He would love to do it, and he's in a pretty good position right now. He's constantly contesting top 4, but Cool is really in a league of his own on these more technical tracks right now.
Yeah, he's just not bothered by anybody at the moment. Now, Guard will be in range for draft, but he's going to have to deal with ByungSu right on his tail as well. Of course, the hairpins does give an opportunity. Cool with a nice block, just able to keep his own build. ByungSu's looking for a bit of an angle here off of the final jump. He gets the boost, and he wants to keep his momentum, keeping the inner line. He's able to pass Guard in the same fashion, and Cool as well as we enter lap 2.
Yeah, both Cool and Guard lost a little bit of momentum there on that wide turn after the jump, and ByungSu just with that straight line was able to keep his top speed for the duration of it. So it's a really close race right now between ByungSu, Guard, and Cool for this first place spot, but ByungSu on the map of his choice, doing a great job right now. There are some body fights, though. I would not be surprised to see this continue to change hands.
Yeah, Guard now in position to block other players. He wants to get points on the board. He's been falling behind, down below 6th place, out of contention from the redemption match, but now he wants to put his name back in the story. But ByungSu, this was his track of choice, and he's here to prove why.
Yeah, he's getting closer and closer to that first place. It all comes down to these hairpin turns, but actually a lot of collisions right there as he's going to fall down. And Cool gets the better end of all of those trades. Guard's right behind him. He goes for one more boost. Does he have the draft to actually pass Cool on this straightaway? No. The nitrous comes through, and Cool continues to add to his lead now with 41 points on the board.
And ByungSu, you could tell he was so desperate to try to just continue this point lead. I think he really, really wanted to go out of this group in first seed because he started to greed for it as more people grouped up in the last hairpins. But because of that, as he gets ping-ponged in between other players, he's not able to recover his own speed and control. Falls all the way down to 7th place, in fact, by the time he crosses the finish line. And that's actually going to now put him in a bit of danger as other players are starting to catch up. The only hope for ByungSu is the fact that Cool is potentially 1 race away from ending this group.
Yeah, and the fact that Will, who was in 4th place coming into that race, placed last, and so actually has 1 point deducted, means it's a little bit safer here for ByungSu as we're starting to see the top 3 really pull away from positions 4 and positions 5, but frankly, everybody on the field right now, if they come through with some big races in these upcoming tracks, they have a chance of making it to that redemption match. It's still very close. We don't have anyone completely out of the race just yet.
Yeah, and for those in that bottom side of the rankings, the question is will Cool finish first? Because if he does, he gets over 50 points, and this group is over. We'll find out as we go to his track of choice. It's WKC Shanghai Circuit. Cool sitting at 41 points, begins the race and just trying to gather up his nitrous gauge, as that has been his strategy for most of these tracks in the solos.
Yeah, and it's been paying off too, because oftentimes the very start of these races, it can be a bit of a logjam with a lot of collisions, almost like the one you saw right there, that can sap a lot of your momentum. You know, it doesn't really take away from the nitrous gauge as it did before, but in speed mode, being able to maintain a high speed is oftentimes just as important as that nitrous gauge, especially in those early key moments.
Yeah, meanwhile, Spear, one of those players that really wanted to prove himself again after an okay showing in preseason 2. Currently, he is facing elimination with the current point standings if Cool is able to end the solo races on this track. So he's fighting not just for 2nd place either. He needs a lot of points to catch up and make sure he enters into top 5, maybe even top 3.
Yeah, he has to edge out Knock and Guard by a handful of points if he wants to do it, so keep eyes on them. Guard right now is sitting in 8th place, might be the odd man out should this one end right here and right now as we enter the 2nd lap. Cool going through those grassy turns, not too much damage to be found as he still is just focusing on the nitrous, playing this really safe. He's not going for any big plays just yet. He's waiting for the opportune moment to strike.
Yeah, but he's cutting every corner so close away from the pack as well because he realizes he's just a bit ahead in terms of boost, and that allows him these opportunities where he tries to catch up. Of course, Striker doing the exact same thing.
Yeah, but Cool can actually draft off of him with 500 meters left to go, and Cool actually pulls away from the pack completely for a moment there, but Spear able to catch him up. I don't think that Cool from the outside is going to be able to do it. Actually, it's Knock, as man, really, we had so many racers just a hair ahead of each other. That 1st place position just continuously changed hands, so Knock coming all the way up into 29 points, getting closer and closer to securing a top 3 spot in this group as the race will continue on.
Yeah, it continues for now, but Cool still, I believe, finishes in 4th place. So, you know, a decent amount of points where he now not only has to, you know, just be able to get into the podium to potentially finish this Group C. Knock, that's going to put him in a lot of safety zone, though, as he was kind of iffy in that redemption match range. Yeah, that's going to put him all the way up into the top 3. Only 1 point away, though, from Striker. As Cool, now he can afford to get down into 3rd place, and the race will still end.
Yeah, looking at the standings right now, it feels like Cool and ByungSu, they're pretty much locks to go into that round of 16 straight away. Who falls into the redemption match, that is up for grabs still for that 4th place and that 5th place too. So it's a tough race right now. It's difficult to call, but Cool, should he get a top 3 on this next track, should be able to send us home. He only needs 5 more points to close this one out as we go into what might be the last track of this group. It's going to be World Tour Terracotta Twister. Cool and ByungSu without a doubt moving on into the round of 16, but everything else is pretty much up for grabs here as we start the race on Terracotta Twister.
Yeah, my eyes are on Spear, currently sitting in 5th place, so he has a chance for that redemption match, but he's only 3 points away from Guard and Will, so that could change very quickly, especially in the current standings. Will up in the podium finishes.
Yeah, and also Su, the rookie coming in right now, if he's able to get a podium finish, as he's off in 3rd place coming into these first couple of turns, he can really shake things up too. He's only 3 points behind Will and Guard, so it's very close, even at the bottom of the pack, and Will actually coming through the tomb section briefly gets into 1st place, so this is a crazy race.
Oh, Knock actually gets knocked away from Fool there on those jumps. He's still able to recover, doesn't have to reset entirely, but that's going to put him all the way solidly in 7th place. Now, once again, remember, Cool only has to get into top 3 to get a minimum of 5 points, and he will be ending this group.
Yeah, and it feels like he's in a very good position right now. Was holding on to 2 nitrous on that straightaway, now with a nice long drift coming in with drafts as well. He's in a good position. He's going back to the strategy he's been showcasing ever since he failed at getting the top 3, right? It's almost like a pension meta where he's just sitting, in 4th or 5th place, and he's waiting for his moment to really pounce on that podium finish.
Yeah, and I think, again, that's where the veterancy experience comes into play, because he's waiting to see these openings as everyone's too busy watching, fighting each other just like that. He's now in range of a podium finish. Striker gets a little too greedy on those blocks, and so does Will. And now Cool all the way in 1st place. Knock is actually going to have to bump off of that jump. He's going to have to reset, and Cool solidly in 1st place. Even if he falls out in 2nd, that means this race will be over. So now my eyes are at Spear, because he's still so far behind Will, and Will's going to be able to get 10 points if he finishes this way. He will, in fact, do so. And will that put him above Spear? Spear falling all the way down to 7th place.
Will with a victory there is going to move all the way up into 26 points. Spear was sitting on 19 coming into this race. So Will, one of the younger kids coming in on this one, might have just upset a veteran here in the KDL. As we'll have to see exactly where the standings fall. Yeah, I mean, it's actually so complicated. You can see the anticipation from him as he even sets a new record on one of the most difficult tracks that we have in speed to make it happen.
He absolutely does, right? It was only 3 points away, so he absolutely gets out of Spear. My question is was there anyone else in range there? No, it's going to be Will with 26 as the cutoff in top 5 for the redemption match. Spear and Guard, these 2 veterans, get eliminated here in the round of 32. Striker and Will be having a second chance in the redemption match. Meanwhile, Cool, ByungSu, and Knock will be moving on to the round of 16.
Hey, we were so close to Cool wrapping this one up in just 3 tracks, and you can even see Will. He's so happy right now, man. He is just glad to be alive, smiling for the cameras, waving to the fans. He is feeling so good. But Cool, ByungSu, and Knock are going to be your victors, so they get the immediate send-off into that round of 16. Positions 4 and 5, Striker and Will, they will have to fight in the redemption match for their survival.
Yeah, ByungSu, you can just see, he's just so relieved, right? A rough start in the very beginning, but he was able to get a 1st place to his own name. And the return of the Autumn King. Now, Cool, he was able to get his first victory in the autumn season. And so people are trying to say, is that going to repeat here? Will he regain his strength every time fall rolls around? So far, a really strong showing.
Yeah, and a bit of a shakeup here is this was by far, I think, the closest group that I've casted so far here in the solos. It really came down to the final race to determine who's going to go to the redemption match and who is going to be eliminated from this one. And we had some veterans fall. We had a rookie, Will, come in and give a big performance. You can see how much it meant to him on stage, which is just great to see. And really, what a fun day of Kart Rider we've had.
Yeah, just so we're clear, Will was born in 2008, so...
I didn't know he was that young.
He is 15 years old, and he just knocked Spear out of round of 32 in solos. Just a very, very impressive showing from this guy. Of course, he's not in the round of 16 just yet, but we'll have to wait and see if he's able to continue in that redemption match. And we'll have to wait to see. Of course, we still have Group D waiting for us as well. So 2 spots left in the redemption match, and that's where we'll return to see if Will moves on into the round of 16.
Yeah, and once we go into the redemption match, it's the top 4 to advance into the round of 16. The other 4 are going to be eliminated from the tournament, but there have already been a good number of upsets here so far in the solo matches, as well as the team matches, with Liiv SANDBOX falling today. I mean, what a fun and exciting day of Kart Rider Drift. It's really been an interesting one.
Yes.
Not what I expected coming in.
Yeah, I mean, Liiv SANDBOX, I thought there was a chance that MIRAEN and SEJONG could win, but not in this fashion, right? It was a pretty dominant team match. And of course, Seongnam ROX, while we expected them to win, they had a really good improvement in the item mode, as we can see just from the score line alone. So good redemption from them, as Seongnam ROX originally after the first week was kind of in contention to compete against the Guangdong Freaks.
Yeah, they were, but they've been struggling in item mode up until this point, which is surprising because coming out of this one, Always has only been really able to survive through item mode. They actually haven't been winning in speed at all. Have they even won a single speed track?
No.
I think they might not have.
No,
so
Always a 0 and 9. Always losing speed.
Yeah, we saw this occasionally in the preseasons with these teams that can just specialize in one specific mode,
Yes.
whether it is speed mode or item mode. For Always, thus far, it has been item mode, which makes it even more surprising that ROX, who hadn't won an item set up until this point, was able to take them down.
Yeah, and meanwhile, of course, our second match, another 3-1, 3-0 scoreline overall, 6-1, but this time in favor of MIRAEN and SEJONG. So MIRAEN and SEJONG continue to live up to the hype of the star-studded roster. They knocked down Liiv SANDBOX, and currently, of course, we're still in the middle of the round robin, but Liiv SANDBOX actually down in 6th place in overall team standings, so they have a lot of work to do to try to get back into wild card range.
Yeah, 6th place with quite negative set differential. That one's going to be hard to make up. I feel like you got to sweep some teams to get to the positive from that point, but also their schedule, it has been difficult. They did fight the Guangdong Freaks on day 1. They just fought MIRAEN and SEJONG, who are looking to be 2 of the strongest teams in the regular season. But then again, we look at teams like Desperado and like Nutmite that are actually giving up pretty big performance here the regular season. Desperado especially. Any team I see Banana on, I kind of imagine they're just going to be item specialists coming through, but I have been really impressed with their racing overall. They do have the potential in the ace matches with Ghost, in speed as well. It seems like they can really hang with pretty much everybody on the field. So for Liiv SANDBOX fans out there, I mean, they kind of got to go back to the drawing board, because sitting in 6th place, that is not what you want.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of work to be done. It's a bit of a long road ahead for Liiv SANDBOX if they want to go for that very first trophy in the KDL. Meanwhile, of course, we still had Group C of the solo matches happen tonight as well. 3 more racers in ByungSu, Nock, and Cool will be joining the round of 16. Meanwhile, Striker and Will have a second shot in the redemption match. Once again, the redemption match will happen before the round of 16, and the top 4 of that match will then join the round of 16 to round out all racers moving on to the next stage.
Man, Group D is going to be fierce as well. That, of course, will be next Saturday as Hojin the Legend is going to take to the track. But before then, on Wednesday, we have 3 more team matches coming your way. Guangdong Freaks versus Finale Esports, the top dogs versus the bottom of the ranks to kick that one off. And then Liiv SANDBOX, will they be able to fight back and start moving up the rankings and making ground against Team Always? And then Nutmite versus Seongnam ROX. ROX, they're looking really good, man. I'm liking what we're seeing from them. They just improved a bunch in the item mode. Will they be able to keep it up?
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. I mean, of course, that means Wednesday is also pro teams versus amateur teams, right?
Yeah.
So, expectations are that it might be one way, one-sided. However, especially that Nutmite versus Seongnam ROX match, I think that's going to be the tough one. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for tonight, though. Once again, we return on Wednesday at 6 p.m. KST with more team matches here at the KDL. We'll see you then.
mouth, better add your respect. Otherwise, pressure gon' be at your neck when I burn you like. This ain't a game, my aim is the throne. I'm much higher than you, like a rocket, a drone. I'm powerful, think of a stone, throw it off in my brain and I'm back to the bone.